computer on it before that.
Well, I just,
Email the copy.
no, not these.
Well, yeah, you got the board.
Oh, in the board book, yeah.
Is forced on or, right?
There he is.
We don't have anything here.
Yeah, there's nothing on my TV here.
Hey, you want to see my bald spot?
Put my hat
Boris,
on.
do you want to test your audio first, please?
There we go.
Boris, can you hear us? If you're talking, you're muted.
Thank you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, let's bring the November 8th, 22 meeting of the Butler Community College Board of Trustees to order. And please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 3, approval of the agenda. Are there any amendments?
Yeah, I would like to propose an amendment. I don't know, do I have the floor?
Yes, you do.
Okay, earlier, I guess it was last week, I received a complaint regarding an alleged violation of board policy, which pursuant to our bylaws requires a committee to look into initially. So what I would like to do is propose an additional discussion item on the agenda today to start that process, which I think that item would be, it would be Roman numeral 9, E as in echo.
Okay,
Well, not having any information about alleged complaint, how do you propose that we approve or disapprove such a thing? You're just wanting to put it on the agenda to
discuss.
discuss it.
No action would be taken today. I mean, the proposal will be to simply appoint a committee, which is what the board bylaws require, to look into the complaint, and then it would be taken up for action at a later meeting.
This is Shelby. If you're appointing a committee, that sounds like an action to me. Is it not?
Sure does to me too.
The board's not taking action, the board's looking into it.
The board's appointing of a committee tonight, though.
I don't believe that's an action item. If you want to call it an action item, we can call it an action item with the action being appointing a committee. I think that's
Well,
semantics.
It's just another example of making bylaws whenever you don't really have any idea what's happening. You do, or maybe the three of you do.
If it would be helpful, I am happy. The complaint alleges a violation by Trustee Winslow of, I'll read it specifically. Over the past month, Trustee Winslow appears to have violated the policy requiring trustees receiving public complaints to forward said information to the college president to address. That is, if accurate, that is a violation of one of our bylaws. The bylaws provide for investigation of complaints. The bylaws provide that the chair may forward them on, or the chair may appoint a committee to look into them. That is the next step according to our bylaws. So the first step for the board to take is to have a committee to look into it.
And does Trustee Winslow get to identify the complainant, or is this
That will all come out in the process. I mean, what I'm asking now is, what we're seeking now is to amend the agenda to address it. Then we will address it. We're not deciding anything right now except to amend the agenda.
Boris, respectfully, this is Kim, by the way. It seems like something that you would want to be discussed in a work session if it were someone. If it
other
was
than
yourself.
myself? Yes.
It's not what I want to do. It is how our bylaws specify. If there's an allegation that a trustee has violated our policies, this is the process that we take to do it. This isn't about what I want to do or don't want to do. I'm the chair, so I'm proposing the amendment, and we need to get a second, or we're we're having all this discussion about an item that hasn't even been seconded yet.
And before you second it, if you want to make a motion to appoint a committee, make it an action item. If you want to just discuss it, make it a discussion item. Be precise in what you're asking for.
I did
And don't
not
have
view
it-
this
don't
as
have
an,
it.
okay, I
No, you're
appreciate
asking
that,
for
Shelby.
You're asking for a committee to be appointed. So if you're wanting to do that, have it be an action item, and then action will be taken. If you're
Then I
wanting
would
to
amend.
discuss it with no action, do it thusly.
Okay, that's fine. I would be happy to amend the motion to add as an action item, the appointment of a committee pursuant to board bylaws to address a complaint of a violation of board policy as previously identified.
Well, all
Okay,
due respect, it
Forrest.
seems fair to me to discuss it tonight and then appoint a committee maybe next time. There's been plenty of times.
Do we have a second of the motion or not?
I
I will
Unless
second it.
second
your
the
way or
motion.
no way. Okay, I get it.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so this
It isn't a
motion's
matter,
gonna
okay.
be-
It is a matter of
motion's
what's
gonna be-
appropriate to discuss. I'm just following the bylaws.
When you want to.
I believe you have a second.
Okay, and our motion is under 10B to do this as a board action item, or are we
Yes.
going with 9E?
I think we would, it sounds like if there's consensus that this would be viewed as an action item, then I think, yes, we'd amend it to be 10B as in Bravo as opposed to 9E as in Echo.
Okay, and because we have two of our trustees on speaker, let's follow the rules of asking to be the speaker, so we're not talking over each other, because I was doing that just a second ago myself. So we have a amendment to the agenda to add 10B and to discuss and potentially appoint a committee for complaint of the bylaws being violated. Do I have a second? Or,
I guess
well,
it
let's,
was- You
I
had a
second
second.
it.
I just have a question.
okay, discussion and
Yeah,
Kim?
I just basically a question with regard to rules. If we were to vote no on this, then I assume it's something that's still going to need to be addressed, and it would just be put on next month's agenda with the complaint being provided in the packet. Or, I mean, because if this is something that is part of our bylaws and has to be addressed, then I'm assuming that if we vote no on this, it'll still be brought up next time and reviewed at that point. Is that correct?
I'm sorry,
Forrest?
I don't know that answer, so
Yeah, I don't either. That's
I'll
why
look
I'm asking.
to. Kim.
May I, sorry, I can't raise my hand very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
start
It
waving
is-
that hand, will you?
It is my understanding, Kim, that the issue still needs to be addressed. I am, as the chair, I received the complaint. The complaint was received after the board books were put out. So it wasn't something that could have been included in the board book last week. If the amendment is not voted on today, it will be raised again next month.
Which is fine. I just feel like in other situations where there's been issues like this that could have been discussed at a work session and could have been handled with a committee. In a lot of cases, we've been asked to refrain from public comment on other things. And we've done that out of respect for the request of the people who've asked. So that's my contention here with this. So that's fine. We can call the vote.
Is he talking?
No,
No.
I think it's back on.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to add the agenda item to 10B.
And a discussion? Did I?
Discussion.
For that? Okay. I would think that it would be more appropriate to include the actual complaint before the board votes on such a thing.
Any other comments?
I don't know that, from what Forrest said, we're not voting on the complaint. We're voting to form a committee.
I'm not sure that matters.
Shelby?
Just my 2 cents. If someone comes up and talks to me and say, hey, I have a concern, please don't say anything. I'm under no obligation to pass that along to my employee if there's. I know you may be our board bylaws. Anytime anyone ever talks to you that has anything to do with any of the college, you have to share everything shared with you via the chain of command or you're in violation of board policy. I don't agree with that extreme interpretation of the bylaw.
Possibly this action will give us more clarification for that in the future.
Find out.
Anyone else? Okay, you want to take a vote?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
No,
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
No.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
No.
Okay, the motion to amend the agenda for this item passes 4-3. Are there any other changes to the agenda at this time?
I move that we accept the agenda as printed then with the one noted exception.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have an amendment and a second to accept the agenda with the one addition. Please take roll call on that.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
no,
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Let's see, am I voting to amend the agenda?
To
To
approve the
accept
agenda.
it
To
with
approve
the
the
As,
amendment.
agenda.
as amended.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
No.
Okay, approval of the agenda passes 4-3. Item 4 on our agenda is executive session. I'll we request executive session. Motion?
And I think, can I speak?
Yes,
Chair?
you may.
Ray, I don't know that you need 30 minutes, do you?
No.
15? Okay, so the motion can be a little bit different than what's in the board book.
So
about a-
on page 3, we see the motion.
How about if I say, Ms. Chair?
Yes.
I move that the board recess into executive session for consultation with legal counsel pursuant to the open meetings exception for matters protected by attorney-client privilege, then that the board president Kim Kroll and Ray Connell be present. The open meeting will resume in the Dankert trustee boardroom within 15 minutes.
Do I have a second?
second.
I second it.
Kim beat you,
Sorry, I may not have talked loud enough.
Mary Martha. Okay, vote please.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow, trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. We'll note the time that we entered and the time that we come out when we're finished, giving us time to move people around. Thank you.
As soon as they tell us that we're back in. Say
Okay.
4:49.
So it looks like we entered executive session at 4:45 and exited at 4:49. Next item on the agenda is recognitions.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. First one on our list is Janice Cow, and I don't see Janice. I don't think she's on Zoom with us. She was one of 18 faculty selected to participate in a managerial accounting symposium, which was held October 20th through the 22nd in Park City, Utah. This was an all expenses paid trip and provided really valuable professional development opportunities for her. She, faculty have the opportunity to do those kinds of things. They bring what they've learned and what they've, been exposed to back to the classroom. So it's a huge benefit for our students, of course, when our folks can participate in these things. So congratulations to Janice, even though she's not here with us. Want to recognize Teresa Eastman next, and I'm going to sit at my microphone, Teresa, if that's okay. Teresa is the Director of Disability Services and ADA Compliance Officer, Section 504 Coordinator, and she presented at a virtual conference of the Washington Association on Post-Secondary Education and Disability on the 20th of October. She and a colleague of hers from Lee Carbon Community College in Pennsylvania were asked to prepare a 3-hour presentation that was entitled Students, Parents, and Accommodations. Oh my. The presentation focused on transition and educational partnerships. She and her colleague were specifically asked to present at the conference of the Washington State Organization by the president of the organization from Tacoma Community College, who attended the National Ahead 2-day pre-conference session by Teresa and her colleagues in July. So it was kind of a follow-up to what they had done in July. She serves nationally as a co-chair for the Community College Knowledge and Practice Group. Tremendous advocate for our students and our staff. And again, so valuable that she's engaged and active on the national level, and not only, bringing back things that apply to us, but also sharing her experience and expertise with others around the nation. So Teresa, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Kelly Cruz is our Assistant Director of College Relations and Marketing, our brand manager. She received a professional development scholarship to attend this year's design conference held by the University and College Designers Association. This scholarship was awarded based on her professional development benefit potential and on the quality of work that she already does at Butler. This scholarship helps offset the expenses of attending the annual UCDA Design Conference. When they apply for these, it's a blind application, and they are chosen there then without anyone really knowing who they are or anything like that. She was one of 6 to earn the scholarship and was publicly recognized that month during the annual national conference in Santa Ana Pueblo, New Mexico. There were nearly 250 in attendance coming from universities and colleges across the country, including Clemson, Notre Dame, Purdue, and California State University. So congratulations to Kelly. Again, she does great work for us. We want to recognize our Butler music faculty, Valerie Mack, Matt Udland, Chad Ingram, and Amanda Fenninger. Vaughn Lippold, who's the past president of KCDA, KMEA, and the Southwest Division of MENC. Help me with that. Anybody know? Music Educators of National Conference. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. Commended these faculty members in a letter to us for their efforts with the music program at Butler. He stated that these individuals are among the finest of all community colleges in the state. If you've been to their productions, their vocal music concerts, all of those kinds of things, it's firsthand. It's amazing to watch these faculty members and the students. And again, just tremendous opportunity for our students to learn from the best of the best and to be mentored by great leaders and faculty members. And so congratulations to all of them. And Amanda, Amanda's new with us this year, right? So, congratulations and thank you very much. Amanda took, if you remember Joel Knudsen, he was our pianist for all the productions. And so Amanda is the new Joel, but getting settled in and doing a great job. So thanks for being here, Amanda, and thanks for all that you do. We appreciate all those efforts. And then I want to call your attention. It was, I think, emailed maybe as part of the board book, but I think you have a hard copy in front of you as well. The 2022 Honor Roll of Veterans. This is just, this is a list that the people that are on this list submitted this information to us. It's certainly not all encompassing of all of the veterans that we have on staff and among our students. But just in this list, it gives us an idea of 219 years of service. Kent is on the list, served, what did you Kent, 4 years in the Navy. Who else is on the list that's here? Anybody? Forrest is, oh yeah, Forrest was 8 years in the Navy. So thank you to you specifically for your years of service. Thank you to all of our veterans, and whether you're on staff as an employee or a student, we appreciate your commitment to all the freedoms that we enjoy. So thank you. I think that's what I have for
Okay.
recognitions.
Next item is public comment. We have two public comment forms that have been submitted. The first is from Sherry Williamson, and if you'd like to take the podium, and we'll make sure that you have the microphone.
Do you, once you read, the-
Oh, I do have.
do you have the public comment thing? I've got it handy here.
I think I have to read something.
There you go.
Very long. Okay, the general public is welcome to address the Board of Trustees under the public comments section of the regular board meeting agenda. Public comment should be germane to the business and activities of the Board of Trustees. Personnel issues are prohibited from comment. The board chairperson will ask visitors wishing to make brief comments to identify themselves and the topic they wish to address. If several members of one group or organization wish to speak to the board concerning the same item, the board chairperson may ask the group to identify a single spokesperson. A time limit of 5 minutes has been set for each recognized member or spokesperson of the audience to speak to the board. The board will take no action during the public comment period of the board meetings. However, it will take the matter under deliberation and, if appropriate, direct the president to follow up with a written response and report at the next board meeting. So now you go.
Okay, all righty. Well, my name is Sherry Williamson, and I have a 17-year-old son at Rose Hill High School, taking some dual credit courses through Butler County Community College. And thank you guys for letting me speak for a moment. So I've had 3 high school students go through the program at Rose Hill High School with the dual credits, and I really have always been very thankful for the program. It, allows them to get ahead a little bit in their college classes while they do high school. So I've been very thankful for it, but unfortunately this year has been a little disappointing. It was first brought to my attention by my son. He's 17 years old, had to read and write a short story in his Comp 1 class called If You Knew Then What I Know Now. It was completely inappropriate, involving 2 young boys laying on top of each other, pretending to make out, etc. My understanding about Butler Community College is that it focuses on diversity and inclusion. So if this is the case, the kids in the class should have been provided another option to read and write about rather than something that was borderline pornographic, in my opinion, so that especially the kids that are mostly minors in the class. Secondly, his psychology teacher, Miss Tatum, prepared a lecture for her class teaching about 5 genders and 2 spirits. She went on to show a video to the class about the same topic and then showed pictures of her transgender daughter's wedding after the video. About a week later, she was on a Zoom class going over the upcoming test and said, quote, the only way you're going to get an A on this test is if you answer one question correctly. How many genders are there? My son said he was the only one that slid up 2 fingers on the Zoom call, and that wasn't because they agreed with her, but because they were nervous to answer appropriately because they want the A. His government teacher was also taught on the subject of homosexuality. So What's concerning to me is that it appears that there's an underlying ideology being pushed in the Butler dual credit classes rather than factual quality teaching. Where is Miss Tatum's proof that there are more than two genders? Why is this being taught as a fact? And why is the other ideology not being taught if this is what we have come to? My authority comes from the word of God, in which in Genesis 1:27 it says, in the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. But even for those who don't want to acknowledge our creator, show me biologically and scientifically that there are more than two genders. Even those who go and try to change it, their DNA doesn't change. So the main point here is why are these ideologies even being taught, and how do they provide any type of edge to advance our kids with a quality education? Why is Butler focusing on diversity, inclusion rather than teaching fundamentals that are going to provide opportunity and advancement in the workplace? This seems like a complete waste of our time and money if this is the type of education that's going to be provided to our students. I have taken this up and talked with Miss Kroll. And also an associate dean, Mr. Craig, spoke with my son a couple of weeks ago. It's been communicated to me that supposedly we have been satisfied at this point with the outcome of the issue. Although to be honest, we really haven't been communicated at all as to whether anything's been done at this point or not. So I'm not sure how we could be considered to be satisfied with the outcome. So anyway, that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Our second public comment request is from Valerie Herring. So same rules, 5 minutes.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me? All right. I am Valerie Herring, and I'm serving as interim dean of Fine Arts and Communication. And I am loving my job. It's amazing. I come to work in the morning and from sunup to sundown, I hear songs and plays and band instruments and dancing up and down the hallway. I come from the art building where the students are a little bit more reserved. But I'm here tonight just to say thank you to all of the trustees, Dr. Neville, Matt Udland, for your support of the fine arts and for agreeing to upgrade our sound system in the theater. I would encourage you guys to come listen to a vocal concert or instrumental, come see a play. Butler Fine Arts sets the standard for fine arts in the state of Kansas. And I can say that with total confidence. And we have just a tiny little video to show you.
The headliners have a special message for you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for us. It may sound double Dutch, but our delight is such. It seems as if the losing wasn't one for us. And if we had a cannon, we would fire it. Boom! To have a sort of celebration song. But since we left our cannon at home, we simply have to say thank you very, very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
The headliner is directed by Valerie Mack. So no choreography.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Okay, item 6, standing reports, Student Government Association report by Lillian Rippey.
I am Lillian Rippey, the Student Government Association president, and these past few weeks have been very busy for us. In the past few weeks, we have held Fall Bash, which was October 14th. We had quite a few students come the very good feedback. They all enjoyed it and had a lot of fun. We also had Parent Family Weekend where we provided outdoor games for the barbecue hosted by First Life Experience. And we had quite a few students show up to that as well, and they all had fun. We handed out pom-poms at the home volleyball game October 19th. And we had Fun Friday at Walter's Pumpkin Patch October 21st, where we bought the tickets for the students to get to go into the pumpkin patch and enjoy all of the festivities there. We sponsored the mocktail supplies for the Fall Hall Crawl October 24th. That was put on by Residence Life and all of the RAs. We gave out blackout t-shirts at the volleyball game October 26th. And that went very well. We have very few t-shirts left. We did pumpkin carving at Butler of Andover on October 27th, which also went very well. We had a lot of students come and carve pumpkins. It went well because it was right along by the free flu shot clinic. So we had a lot of students come for that too. We attempted to do football field movie night. That didn't go exactly as we planned because it was pretty much downpouring the whole time. We still had a lot of students come though, and if we wouldn't have had the technical difficulties we experienced, it would have went very well. And I mean, we still had the students sitting on the football field in the rain waiting for the movie. So we are going to try and do that again probably next semester when hopefully the weather will be a little bit more predictable. And then we handed out rally towels at the home football game October 29th. And the things we are going to do next, this Friday, we have a turkey drive where we are accepting donations of frozen turkeys, and we will be taking the turkeys to the Family Life Center, the shelter there, so that they can use them for a dinner or whatever they are doing. And next Thursday, November 17th, we are doing an apple pie and apple cider in the 1500 building, where we will have a table set up and students can come get pie and apple cider, and just hopefully it'll be cold then and not warm. So it'll be a good time for that. And we are also going to be setting up a table at Grizzly Senior Day on November 19th. Any questions?
When was your turkey drive again?
This Friday. And anyone that would like to donate a turkey can bring them to the SGA room.
In the student union? Okay, thank you.
Room 10131. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have operational staff report. And oh, she's in person.
Okay. Good evening. So we decided to try a little something different for our holiday fundraiser this year. We have partnered with a company that provides a plethora of chocolate covered nuts, pretzels, trail mixes, and gummy candies that are perfect for anyone on your gift giving list. These savory and sweet treats can be ordered directly through their website, and they will be delivered to you by your friendly ops staff officers before Christmas. So our sale began on November 3rd and will continue through November 28th. All proceeds from our fundraising efforts go toward the Book Scholarship Fund, the cost of the welcome tables, hosting a family in need at Christmas, and other charitable giving opportunities. Our next operational staff meeting is this Thursday, November 10th, on the Andover campus. Any questions?
Okay, nothing else, then we'll see the professional employees report from Terry Sater.
I have so little to report. There's really not much to walk.
Oh,
You have to grab.
Do I really have to say that again? I have nothing to report. Of course, that's against the background always of the great work that your counselors, your advisors, and your faculty members do day in and day out.
okay, next is the board finance committee report. Mary Martha wasn't able to be there, so I will comment on the 3 items that we talked about in reference to the statement of revenue, expenditures, and other charges that you received here at your space this evening. The first is on the revenue side. Under other sources of income, you'll note that that is up over last year, and it's due to increased interest income, probably the only good side of inflation. And then under expenses, under institutional support, there were two items that impacted that quite a bit. One was an insurance payment that had been, it was in advance and it needed to be recategorized in the books. And the other was for additional software packaging, IT expense. So that was about $1 million, and those were the exceptions that they mentioned during the meeting. And then the second part of the meeting was a presentation of some reporting from BKD with the opportunity to ask questions and kind of see the type of information that we're going to get from the system. Right now, the reporting is going back to 2021. Potentially, we may have the 2022 information populated, so you can compare one year over the other for the fall season. And the information right now is populated from 2019 forward. So it's interesting to see the information that's available, and look forward to additional presentations on that. Any questions? Okay, if there are none, Foundation Board report, Kim or Forrest?
Yeah, nothing to report. The foundation board meets next week.
Okay. President's report, Dr. Kroll.
Few things to share with you. We've scheduled a legislative lunch on November 29th, beginning at 11:30 in the Clifford Stone Room, 11:30 to 1. I think you have invitations at your places. The legislators, senators, and representatives that represent Butler County and our service area have all been invited. The trustees, of course, have been invited. Exec council, academic deans have been invited. And so we always try to hold something like this, either a lunch or a breakfast before the legislative session starts. They get really busy after they, get started into session. And so the community colleges typically try to have a legislative lunch or breakfast. So November 29th, we need to have an RSVP if you're going to be in attendance for lunch by the 18th because of the holiday. It's the Tuesday, right when we come back from Thanksgiving break, and Jan needs to know numbers before we leave for Thanksgiving. So please let Jennifer know if you'll be able to attend. Butler representatives, a number of us, Tom, Jessica, we had folks from advising and admissions, meet with representatives, collaborating representatives from Newman University and Southwestern and Friends a week ago, to continue to discuss partnerships and opportunities to collaborate. Part of this comes on the heels of the agreement that we signed with them, with the independent colleges, but we've always had good relationships with Friends and Newman and Southwestern. They've had a number of folks kind of staff-wise change over time. So it was an opportunity for us to get acquainted and put faces and names together and continue some good work with them. So we're going to be looking at making sure our articulation agreements are updated and see if there are some other things that we need to address together. President's Donor Dinner was last week. We had probably 180 people in attendance, I think maybe. Bryce Dewall, who's been at our meetings a couple of different times last year, was the guest speaker. He was our PTK president. He was also the PTK regional president last year. I'm sorry, Bryce Dewall. Yeah, Hayden Jansen. Good grief. Sorry about that. I've always said that those two guys could be brothers. They look a lot alike. So I'm not sure why. Sorry about that. Sorry, Hayden, if you're listening. Sorry, Mom and Dad, if you're listening. Anyway, thank you for the correction. Hayden's the first recipient also of the Fran Jabara Presidential Business Scholarship, which is given to a Butler student that's transferring on to Wichita State to study business or accounting. Hayden's actually working on his accounting degree. And he was also one of if you remember, he was one of the 50 PTK New Century Transfer Pathway Scholars a year ago. So he was the scholar chosen from Kansas. So it was great to have Hayden back, and he's doing really well at Wichita State. It was fun to spend part of the evening with him.
He gave a good speech.
Yeah, he did give a really good speech. He talked about the impact that the opportunities that Butler provided him while he was here, not only just in the classroom, but also through PTK and headliners and all of the things that he has been involved in. So he very much valued his time at Butler and felt like it was impactful. The foundation Christmas gathering, you also will receive, if you haven't already, an invitation for December 5th at 5:30 in the Dankert boardroom here. We need those RSVPs back by the 1st of December. It's a come and go. People come after work and have snacks and something to drink and visit for a while. And so it's not any kind of a sit down thing. It's just an opportunity to socialize with folks in the foundation, help sponsor that. Veterans Day celebration is this Friday at 11 a.m. in front of the Butler Student Union on this campus. If you're available and want to attend, that would be great. And then our internal group continues to work in preparation for our HLC visit that comes up in April on the 17th and 18th. One of the things that we, and as we're working on writing our assurance argument, we're also starting to pull together our evidence documents that we have to provide as part of the assurance argument. One of the things that we want to make sure we have in place are board bios. They'll want to, get to know who the board members are. And so at the November work session, Jennifer will have an updated sheet for you to fill out that will include your degrees and some work history and some things like that we can then compile and provide them. And so that those forms will be ready at the November work session, right? And we'll give them to you a hard copy, or we'll email them electronically so you can fill them out that way too. I think that's what I have.
Okay, next we have, says Reichenbaugh, I think it's Heather Reichenbaugh on our monitoring report.
Yeah, there was.
Oh,
Oh, education facilities. Is there a report on that?
The only thing I know is I got an invitation for December the 14th for the next meeting.
Right.
And I think I'll be able to attend because I have first hour off.
Okay. Sorry, item 8, monitoring report. So you've been provided with information, and are there any questions in your board book? You've been provided with information on the program. Are there any questions?
I can't remember if I wrote any down. Apparently not. Page 6 is really not.
Yeah,
In
it gets
almost
on
every
page
department,
6.
one of your goals is increase the number of degrees / certificates or students. How do you propose? I'm not really looking for more degrees and more certificates, but how do you propose to get more students?
So the increase in degree and certificates is specifically for our online. So not
Okay.
creating new programs necessarily, but being able to move those programs 100% online.
Okay.
So
Are you still looking at a maximum of 25% online? That's the last number that I heard from last year
25% of
online, 25% maximum.
programs. I don't think that's a cap necessarily. We have quite a few already. I think when we talked about that was looking at maybe our direct enroll program, which was specific courses.
What do you think that makes us say in a year? Or
In a-
years online versus in class?
In a year,
What do you think your projection is?
we're adding programs. I need to pull up our data. We keep track of how many we're adding, but
You don't have to answer tonight. just-
yeah, I can get
I'd
that
just
information
like to
for you.
know- Yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No problem at all.
I'd like to see a lot of increase in that because that's what other colleges are doing.
Sure.
So I'd like for us to at least keep up.
Yeah, we are, developing new courses every single week. I mean, we're putting new courses under contract with faculty. So we partner with the faculty member to develop the course online. It goes through the quality assurance.
Can't use the same course we teach in person.
It is, but what we're doing is putting it in an online format. So
Oh.
it has to be in
Conversion-
our,
conversion
right,
then,
in
not
our,
rewrite, just to convert.
right, it's just never been developed. So we consider that a new development in terms of online course development.
Thank you.
How long have we taught online classes, Heather?
A
20
long
plus years.
time, yeah. I would have to look it up.
Yeah, what I'm looking for statistically, where are we now as far as our percent that we are teaching online?
We're-
And what are we looking at in the next 2 or 3 years?
We're close to almost 50% of our credit hours being generated online. We're pretty close to that.
That's great.
Yeah. So I mean, we've got the information on credit hours, but
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
fine.
talking about programs are a little bit different because,
No, I think just online credit hours. That's
okay.
I don't care what program really. Well, I always like to know which one's doing better than the other, but by the same token, I'm just looking for a migration to that point. Of
Sure.
online, because I think it's kind of like the stores. You know, the foundation stores are just closing up and it's going online and.
Mhm.
brick and
Yeah,
mortar.
we have more online courses than our competitors do for sure.
That's
We've-
great.
So,
No.
and we're continuing that development in terms of actually recruiting students. And Donna, you want to come up here too? You can speak to this a little bit as well, if you want to.
He's fine where he's at, right?
So Donnie is our associate dean in our division and oversees our early college academy. But so we shared a little bit last year during this report. So we've completely redesigned our high school web pages. We've created content specific for parents, specific for counselors. And then in addition to that, students. Each of our departments are working with marketing in terms of creating specific messaging for those populations. So our different locations, different student types. And we are also engaging our high school partners more than we have in the past. And so do you want to talk about that? Talk about counselor breakfast, counselor camp. You'll have to come up to the microphone.
I know I need a microphone. I'll go.
This is.
You might regret this. Go ahead.
I was looking online and Butler actually has a nice spot online, I guess prepared by Jenna Gannon. But it does show your online has actually gone up overall, where we've had some declines in different locations. They actually went up and looks like down to 19, up in 20, and just, but we're higher overall or kept the same
Right.
number of students. There hasn't been a decline in online, which is nice.
For fall, we're about 43% online of our credit hours.
Yeah, so in terms of the counselors and how we're reaching counselors, it had to change a little bit with COVID, but we had a really successful counselor breakfast that we kind of brought back. We used to do it. We had counselors from all over Butler County and some of the other schools we serve come, and we got to just sort of share what we're doing and the information with them, which is really good because we have a lot of new counselors that are a little bit unfamiliar with what we do, and they're really, we can get in front of students all we want, but really the counselors are seeing those high school students on a daily basis. So it's really good getting to interact with them and reach them. And then we did a new thing where we started a counselor camp this semester. It was a little smaller than we wanted, but it was the first time and we're really excited for it. And what we did was, rather than give them the same message of, hey, this is what we have, because they've heard that, we had our faculty come and teach them stuff. So we had them do some relevant stuff for the counselors, some stuff with Google Docs and Excel, because they tend to use Google Docs. And so we had a couple of our business faculty come and do that. We had our construction faculty, Brandon Leach, come, and he did a thing with building and kind of a more hands-on. Larry Friesen was a participant, did kind of a hands-on activity with them. So rather than just the normal, like, hey, this is what we have, they got to learn some stuff that hopefully they got to take back. And so it's kind of a neat experience with them. And we're going to keep doing that in the future. And it was camp themed. It was kind of fun. They wouldn't let me have real fire though, which is whatever.
Other questions?
I had a couple in regards to McConnell. It said one of the goals, increase enrollment while decreasing the number of canceled sections. Are they canceled just because there's not enough students in the class?
Correct. So one of the ways that we're trying to do that is through the high flex modality, where we're linking a class on campus with a class on base. So we're trying to, in partnering in that way, reduce the number of sections that we cancel on base. And if we can partner, then it eliminates some cost, right? Because we're combining two sections. So we're trying to do more of that, which is going to help us with that overhead.
Okay, and it said the total credit hours were 792 overall. I don't remember the number, but wasn't it like 60 to 80% were not soldiers, but it was their families and dependents
Yeah,
that
and
took the
I
classes?
I actually have some of that. I have a whole breakdown
Oh,
of
that's fine.
where
I
those
just-
students come from. I'd be glad to provide that.
Okay, I was curious if it was similar to last year or
Yeah,
not.
I can get it to Dr. Kroll to
Same
get
stuff
out
that
to
I was
everybody.
Looking for just, percentages.
I have a question.
Okay, Mary Martha.
Donnie, how many counselors showed up for the counselor camp?
I think we had around 20 for that. I can get you the exact number, but it was somewhere around 20.
And they were all from Butler County?
No, that we had some from Butler County, but we had quite a few from Wichita as well that came. We didn't reach them with the council breakfast. That was a much more heavy Butler County county presence. But we sent that to just sort of anybody that might be interested because we were, even thinking kind of outside of just high school enrollment. So we had quite a few from 259 come to that, which was exciting. We typically don't see them.
I'm just going to make a suggestion, but I think it'd be great to review this with the counselors come January or February, just to make sure that they know what's going on with our kids and also for all the scholarships we offer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank
Julie,
you.
Thank
did
you.
have comment?
No, I was just wondering if in all of your, I guess, calculations, if you have noticed a trend that more and more people are taking these online and what that might do to the brick and mortar side of the college at some future point. But I'm not expecting you to be on point and know every answer, but maybe in the future, just thinking about that, how that might affect you or affect the college.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Forrest, you're okay?
Good with a neutral.
Yes, sorry, it takes a little bit to get to the mute button.
That's okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now we're at item 9, board strategic discussions, deferred maintenance and renovation projects. This would be on page 14 of your board book.
Good evening, everybody. As you remember, back in September of 2021, the board approved 5 deferred maintenance projects. So they were the 1600 building, the 300 building HVAC upgrade, and the ADA restroom upgrades here on campus. All 3 of those projects finished in the summer. They were within budget. We actually had just under 30,000 left over of those 3 projects that we actually used to address some landscaping drainage at the 1600 building that we'd had before. So those projects are complete. And the 2 projects that went out for bid in September through Simpson are the 700 roof replacement project and the 500 building HVAC upgrade. As you can see on the topic for information, those 2 projects came in over budget of about $330,000 from our estimate back in the summer of 21. So attached to this is all the bid sheets, the companies who bid, the prices that came in. I can answer any questions if you guys have any. I apologize, it's so small, Julie, because I actually have trouble reading it too, if it isn't on my computer.
Glasses, but not my magnets.
So you can enlarge it on the computer if you have an electronic version of it, or I can answer any questions right now. So. No questions?
One thing I've been meaning to ask is, do we have any policy that is a Butler Community College policy that dictates a preferred bidder from Butler County?
We've always, I don't know if it's a policy, but we've always given Butler County contractors an option, and it's been our policy if they're within 10% of the low bidder, we could give them the bid. So
Do you know where that policy would be? Where I could read it?
I don't think there is a policy. I just think we've tried to adopt that. I don't know if there is a written policy or not.
Go ahead, Ken. Yeah.
It's not a, sorry, I don't believe we have a written rule that states the 10%. There has been that understanding and communicated between the board and the trust and the administration over time. I think I'd have to go back and look, but I think the policy and purchasing indicates that we can make it reasonable exceptions and should make reasonable exceptions for people within the county.
And I appreciate that, Kent. What I would like to see, and maybe we can have Kim take a note for this in the future. I would like to see a firm policy. We have so many other policies dictating the behavior of the board and dictating the behavior of certain.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for us, first of all, to go back and see exactly what it says, because I'm trying to remember.
What?
I just know that over time, that's been our general premise, is if it comes in around the 10% mark, that's sort of been a rule of thumb. So I guess I'm guilty too. I need to go back and look and see what that says exactly.
Yeah, and if there you do find a written policy somewhere, I'd really like to have
Okay.
that.
Okay, any other comments or questions? If none, we'll go on to the villas.
So put the villas back on the agenda just for a brief kind of touch base again. I sent you the financials that had been shared with me by the owners from T-Town. I know you were interested in looking at those. I don't think that the administration's stance on this has changed much. But certainly it's open for discussion with the board. And, if you've got some questions, I can certainly write those down and go back to the owners and ask them if there's interest. If there's not interest, then I need to let them know that as well.
I've heard from some of my sources around town that the workmanship over there when it was first built was really, really bad, and that, even some people that are in the kind of the apartment and the housing, I know they're just passing on it all, as fast as they can. It just doesn't meet their,
Well, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Their price is ridiculous based on their current income. So I don't, and their projections don't even really seem to line up with market data that they've derived. So I'm not really sure where they're coming from on their price. With that price, they can just keep it. If they
You're the rent analysis.
Yeah, like you wanna
Isn't
wait.
it is it still 10% of the value of
Well,
that?
they're
particular
saying the
unit?
cap rate is 10%, but it's based on a projection that is like 5 times what its actuals are. And that's based on market rent that's not in line with market rent. So it's sun and rainbows multiplied. So
Certainly,
Unicorns
it's certainly a
and rainbows. There you
situation
go.
where we wouldn't be able to fill that building with Butler students. And if we did, then it would decrease our occupancy on campus in our own facilities. So,
I have zero interest
won't.
at 5.8 million.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
okay, I'll
Not
let them
even-
know.
Not
Thank
even a
you.
hard question.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, board bylaws.
Shelby had requested, I think actually you emailed it during the last board meeting, I think
Yes, I
maybe.
wouldn't forget.
Yeah, and I appreciated that. So Shelby had requested a change in the board bylaws to allow public comment at both the regular and special board meetings. What I included in the board book, 3.10 public comment is what's in the bylaws currently. And then just below that, towards about the bottom half of the page, inserted the wording into that current section in the bylaws that reads, the general public's welcome to address the Board of Trustees under the public comment section of the regular board meeting agenda and the special board meeting agenda. And then it would carry on with the rest of the same verbiage. Also included a note there that, about what Robert's Rules of Order states regarding special meetings, that nothing other than the business for which the special meeting is called can be considered, other than motions that allow the meeting to be, business to be noticed up. So that it would just be a simple insertion of that language, I believe, into this section on the bylaws.
Yeah.
If I understood your request correctly.
And actually, Forrest and I emailed back a little bit. I think he and I came to the understanding, instead of that, what you have in dark there, just add an additional sentence, say, the public is also welcome to address the Board of Trustees during the public comment portion of any special meeting agenda. But public comment at these meetings should be related to an agenda item of that special meeting.
Okay.
So that,
Can you email it to me?
yeah.
Or
I'll just hand it down to you.
Hand it to me. And that way, if it gets approved,
We
I've
kind
got
of
it.
went back and forth till we found a sentence we agreed on, so.
Okay.
But I mean.
Okay, you want me to read that again? This would say,
Just the
the
highlighted.
the highlighted part. Okay, the public is also welcome to, so it would say what's here now.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. The public is also welcome to address the Board of Trustees during the public comment portion of any special meeting agenda, but public comment at these meetings should be related to an agenda item of that special meeting. Just as a suggestion, the wording that's up above that says public comment should be germane to the business and activities of the Board of Trustees kind of covers that same thing, but this is even a little bit more specific. So,
Yeah, I think it's fine the way it's written, but he had some suggestions.
Okay.
I had some other suggestions, and
I
if you
like
guys
that.
want to change it,
I like
throw
that.
out some more suggestions.
I kind of like that more specific,
But
you like Shelby's highlighted.
yeah, because it's a little, I mean, it doesn't leave doubt or anything.
But just want people to have an opportunity to talk at any meeting if they so choose, as long as it pertains to the meeting, even if it's a special meeting. So we just had that one issue with the nurses one time where they couldn't because it wasn't in the bylaws. And this should clear that up, hopefully.
Linda, can I say a word?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, my concern with this was the purpose of the special meeting, as Dr. Kroll alluded at the start, is it's supposed to be limited to just the topic. I mean, these are the exception, not the norm. We're not supposed to have special meetings generally. When we have them, they're supposed to be limited to the specific agenda items that you're talking about. So the general language that talks about the public is welcome to comment on anything that's germane to the board. Well, that means they can talk about anything they want. We're all elected officials. We reside in Butler County. Almost anything is germane. That to me is too broad for what we want at a special meeting. And if we want to give the public a right to comment at the special meetings, as opposed to what they already have at the regular meetings, then the comment at the special meetings, they know what the published agenda is for those special meetings. The agenda doesn't change. The comment at the special meetings ought to be focused on what the agenda items are. That was the reason for the distinction between having the broader sort of anything germane to the board with respect to public comment generally, and the more specific be related to the topics of the special meeting for public comment at the special meeting. That's all. That's what I broached with Shelby ahead of time.
I agree with Forrest that it should be absolutely on topic with a special meeting. Shouldn't be able to publicly comment on anything that is not about the special meeting.
Okay, any other comment? If none, let's go on to 9D, board governance, the core report. I think that we were going to do that quarterly, correct? This
Well,
is the-
yeah, and let me back up to this. I'll go ahead and include your language, Shelby, and then it'll be on the December agenda for approval, if that's okay.
Probably mostly Forrest language at this point.
Force language. Okay.
I do have
We'll give him the blame. I'm just kidding.
one other question / comment with regard to public comments. I mean, much like the lady spoke with us this evening. I mean, what is the protocol as far as us discussing what was brought to our attention? I mean, if she obviously wants the board to know something, is that something we can do in a work session or an executive session or something? Obviously not a public meeting, But I just, don't want the public to like, yeah, you go, you speak, so that's it. Nothing
Well,
else.
that's why we read the statement, why the statement's read ahead of time that identifies that the board won't take any action. They won't engage
Right.
in any discussion. So if the board wants to discuss those, what's brought up in under public comment, I think it makes sense for the board as a whole to direct, that be on a work session agenda or the next meeting agenda or something like that.
Is are the work session agendas made available to the public, so they know that it's being addressed and it's something we're discussing?
Well, sometimes we don't do a formal agenda. I mean, you don't call a work session to order or anything like that
Right.
because it's not a formal meeting. But if we've got multiple topics, lots of times what we'll do is, just say these are, it's for budget discussion or policy discussion or something like that. So we don't typically put any kind of a board book together for the work sessions. So I think it would depend on the topic and what needs to be discussed. Personnel issues can't be discussed publicly. So if it was something that someone brought up in public comment that related to a personnel issue, that would have to be discussed in executive session. It would just kind of depend on what the topics were, I think.
A question, maybe I felt this way the last time we had a special or a comment. I wonder if on behalf of the board, thank you should be sent for their appearance. I mean, they came, they took their time. Not that we have a solution or anything, but just as a courtesy. I don't know.
That would be nice. It's hard to speak in public, no matter
It is.
where you are.
And they're not always, I mean, they're facing us and we're giving them no response, and I'm fine with us not responding and so forth like that, but maybe in instances where they're bringing something up, we need to just thank them for their time or something. I don't, maybe we
Maybe-
can talk about that later in a work session.
I wouldn't mind, sorry.
Go ahead.
So I wouldn't mind talking about that, what she discussed at a work session, just to
Yeah.
at least talk about it as a board in
I would
public.
like to see a committee some kind of committee to address, I mean, we were talking about committees earlier based on complaints. So somebody made a complaint that is a student. So why don't we have a committee to investigate, appointed one that was not only staff, but also members of the board?
Okay, let's ask that be put on a work session if we're going to have a discussion. Is that okay?
Yeah, there's specific policies in place to deal with
We can.
student
control
complaints
that.
and things like that, but
Well, I
Don't-
understand that, but I just
Okay.
not sure the results.
9D board governance, and that's going to be on your page 27 and 28. This is the Cora request, the quarterly from July 1st through September 30th. It says additional discussion can be held on information requests as a follow-up from the October regular board meeting. And this is for discussion purposes only. So are there comments or questions in reference to the core requests or?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I would like to have the core requests monthly, please.
Instead
Okay.
of quarterly, Mary Martha?
Yes, yes, would like them monthly, please.
We can talk about that again in work session.
We were getting them monthly.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
well, I remember, Mary Martha, this is Kim. I don't remember that we provided them monthly. The documents that I have are all quarterly. We did, before we started providing the quarterly reports, I think there may have been a couple of agendas that included discussion about core requests, but I don't remember that the board has that we've ever provided the board monthly Cora reports, but we'll certainly do whatever the board requests.
We had them for 3 months, every month. And they were once in the front of the book and then once in the middle of the book. And then after that, they became quarterly, and I don't remember any discussion taken on that.
Well, we did discuss it at a board meeting because we talked about providing the quarterly report that includes, 3 months at a time. 3 months at a time for each of the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. And I mean, that's kind of what the board decided, is that we would report it on a quarterly basis, but we'll certainly change it if you want us to.
Okay,
If we all agree, Mary, I'm fine with quarterly. I just had on 8-1, it says, payroll data in electronic format, year 2021, school year, first and last name, position. What is that in regard to? Is that in regard to our payroll of employees, or? I just don't know what that is. It's a core request on 8-1.
The outside quarter request.
The one from Gannon Evans, that one?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is that regards to
Yeah, that-
employees of the college on payroll, or?
Well, there was somebody from this Sandillion Center Entrepreneurial Government who wanted like us to give them a list of all our employees.
And did you guys do that?
I don't think we did.
Well, it says it was.
Say how-
Says it was paid for.
You just said it was resolved.
But it
We
says,
do some of those if the people paid for the cost of doing it.
oh, it did say paid. I was just curious if I
We-
can have a copy.
We can go back and ask Meredith
Okay.
and figure out exactly. what
Because if it
was
does
provided.
exist, I would like to see it, just to see what they're looking for, or what even it is.
I would like to
'Cause,
see
I
what they
mean,
were given.
to me, this kind of seems what Julie's beating around the bush for, is trying to find out where we hit on payroll, overhead. Teachers versus deans versus presidents, vice presidents, and how that hits on our total budget. And I haven't seen her get very far on what she's looking for, but and then here's somebody making a similar request, and it's just,
It wasn't,
But-
it wasn't the same.
okay.
No.
Well, that's why I didn't know. I would just like to look at it, see what it is, if it exists electronically currently.
Find out about it.
Okay, other comments? We have none. We'll go on to item 10. Purchase of Culinary Arts Building from BCC Foundation.
Give Scott. Okay. Scott Redler's gonna join us, so we'll he's out of state, so we'll at a national meeting, so we'll try and connect with him here.
Hello, everyone. Tom Borrego, Vice President of Advancement for the Butler Community College Foundation. Prior to this meeting, the board received a summary highlighting the details of the Butler Community College Foundation's funding strategy, use of funds to support the project, fundraising, reduction of debt, and request for Butler Community College to purchase the culinary building. Excuse me. Someone needs to let Scott in to the. Yeah. I feel like I'm doing airline trafficking. This strategy involved significant charitable giving from individuals, foundations, businesses, and grants via the state of Kansas, resulting in the construction and equipping of a $5,514,000 culinary building. Up to this point, no new college funds have been used to fund this project. In November of 2020, Butler began to look for a location in Andover that could be home to the culinary arts program. Butler's Culinary Arts and Hospitality Management Program had been located at the Boston Rec Center since 2011. Space at BRC limited program growth due to location, physical square footage, age of the building, and visibility. Discussions on partnership with WSU and WSU Tech had been ongoing since 2018, but a collaborative partnership was not able to be developed. In July of 2021, the Wichita City Council notified the college it would not renew the lease at Boston Rec Center for the fall of 2021 semester, and that it would end on August 31st, 2021. Butler reached out to the Andover School District, and with our collaborative and positive partnership, they provided space in one of their new culinary kitchens for the college's use for the 21-22 academic year. These events led to the concentrated work to find a new home for Butler's Culinary Arts program in Andover. The Butler Community College Foundation Board of Directors accepted the challenge to help the college secure funding for the design, construction, and equipping of a new culinary building by August of 2022. A lease agreement between the foundation and the college was created and approved in November of 2021 by the Board of Trustees for the use of the building beginning in August of 2022. The annual amount of the lease is equal to the lease amount already being paid at the Boston Rec Center. The Foundation Board of Directors directed the foundation to secure and fund or to secure funding and financing to complete the project. In 11 months, our fundraising, our goal was to raise enough funds to minimize the costs to the college. Our gifts have come in the form of outright gifts and pledges. Majority of these gifts are over 3 to 5 years, with one gift over 10 years. To kind of give you an idea of how these pledges, which remain, will come in. Majority of these pledges will come in between 3 and 5 years, which is roughly almost $600,000 that will come in. And then there's one gift that is about $12,000 a year that stretches out until year 10. So there's little money after year 5 that'll be coming in. Majority comes in between that 3 to 5 year period. An interesting note about the donors. We have 8 Butler County donors, 25 Sedgwick County donors, and 12 donors outside of Butler in Sedgwick County. Kind of gives you an idea of the mix of people that were interested and supported the project. This generous giving has resulted in an opportunity for the College Board of Trustees. Using designated funds, the college can become the owner of a state-of-the-art, industry-recognized, and supported culinary building at a greatly reduced price. By doing so, the foundation can begin working with prospective donors on future capital projects to benefit the college. At this time, if he is available,
He's on.
okay, I'd like to introduce Scott Redler, former co-owner of Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, to share with you his vision for this project, his business and personal reasons for investing in Butler, and the future of culinary and culinary related businesses. Scott?
Well, thank you, Tom, and good evening, everyone. I want to start with why. It's interesting. I've been on the Butler board, hospitality board, for as long as it's been around, which nobody can really tell us how long that is, but we think it's like at least 25 years. And, you know, we're all here. We all do what we do for kids. And my wife and I believe that, number one, when we can affect someone's life, it's critical, and we are affecting students' lives. And if any of you have had the opportunity to go over and see the students in action at the Culinary Institute, it truly is amazing. Second is really our community. We were able to put in a building to help enhance our community. We all look at the number of people and number of employees and senior executives that we want to have moving to our market. And for them to move to a market, there's amenities that a community needs to have. One of them is great restaurants. And we do have some great restaurants. We need more to continue this growth pattern for all of us in South Central Kansas. The industry component, I've been in the industry for 47 years. The wonderful thing is that every student that graduates will have 10 job opportunities, at least. They can go anywhere they want in the country. The demand is not going away for both hospitality and culinary students. And it is critical that we do what we can to, it helps the industry, but on the other side of it, it truly impacts and changes the lives and the path of lives of so many. And I can go into stories of people that started at Freddy's as a line cook and have worked their way up, and now they're a franchisee owning 6 Freddy's and are doing just phenomenally. And they're there because of the opportunity that the hospitality industry gives to everyone. Butler is the long-term established program for culinary and for hospitality in South Central Kansas. The team has been knocking it out of the park, operating out of Boston Rec Center, a very subpar facility. And it is amazing to me what they've done so far in just a couple months, and really looking forward to the future of that. A couple things that are really unique are that the supplier support that we received on this project, we're in a period of time when every piece of equipment that can be made is sold, restaurant equipment is sold and in demand, and people are waiting 6 months and 8 months for things that used to take 6 weeks. Our suppliers that we contacted jumped on board and helped us. And we were able to put in a fully new equipped restaurant, culinary and pastry arts kitchen in a 10 or 11 month window, which in today's environment would have taken most people 2 years. We're very fortunate. You know, the vision of this, right now we have 80 students. I thought we'd have 60. We have 80. It is so exciting to watch them operate in there. And I think we're going to see this growth continue. I think the pride and the, I'm going to call it the Butler way of doing things, of doing it the right way, of teaching these kids the right skills, the right base skills to move forward is going to help us. The future of us, I think we're going to grow in this program. I think we're going to grow in the hospitality program now. And if we focus on it a little bit, we also have a brew pub going 2 doors down from us. And the brew pub gives us the ability to, if the board so selects, or I don't know how the decision process works, but we can teach brewing. Butler can have a brewing program, teach beer making, which would be the only one in South Central Kansas. You know, we've been looking for, you know, what's our future? The piece of dirt that's next to us, in my opinion, is an opportunity that would be hard to pass up. I do know that if we don't act on that dirt in 5 years or 10 years, we're all going to be going, boy, I wish we had that piece of dirt. And I'm not advocating for building something immediately. I think we need to have it as an opportunity, whether it turns into a hospitality program or it turns into another program for Butler. It's a great area. It's one of the best locations off of Kellogg and so easy access. And I think it would be a good decision to own that. So that's what I have. I'm really open for any questions anyone might have.
Elephant in the room. Sorry, this is Trustee Smith. Elephant in the room. We've got WSU Tech and their culinary with the restaurant below. They haven't even started enrolling students yet. We've got our new building and we're up, I believe, 9%. And we don't have any competition yet. So how do you see growth on our end before our competition has even started yet?
Well, I think if you look at the opportunity in the industry, it's greater than the sum of the 2 locations. They're going a couple different directions. I don't agree with their direction. I don't agree with their location either, by the way. I would not want to be downtown Wichita at 8 o'clock at night. And I think there's room for both. I don't think that doesn't concern me. The opportunity and the awareness that we can bring to high school kids to let them know these programs are available in Butler. I think we're going to see nothing but growth in our program. And you know, it's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. And you know, I opened a burger restaurant next to burger restaurants, and I could have said the same thing. And we just have to be the one that executes the best and really teaches the kids what they need to learn. And I think we're going to see a lot of great success from students.
Do you truly believe hospitality is an expanding opportunity right now currently?
I do. And here's why. You know, we have, when I first got on the Butler board, we were only hospitality. We did not have culinary, and we did a great job. We had more students. The opportunity, the hospitality industry is the opportunity for someone to come up through a community college. Our cost for a student is 1/4 of what the major schools charge in the rest of the country. I can give you all the industry data that you need, but we're short 1 million employees right now. I'm on the board of the National Restaurant Association. We represent 950,000 restaurants. I'm actually chair-elect of that organization. And the demand and the amount of energy that we're putting into it and the growth that we see through a program called Pro Start, which is a high school program. Andover does it, and Andover does a great job with it, by the way. And the opportunity is definitely there.
I respectfully disagree.
Okay.
When WSU Tech was trying to, we were dividing, going our separate ways, we submitted to K-Board that there was not enough demand to host 2 hospitality programs. And we asked that they not be approved. They were approved. So now we are going to have 2 hospitality programs. We only have a 2% increase this year after having a brand new building, or this semester, in hospitality. I just don't see, I guess what I'm trying to say in plain English, I don't want to pay for this building that exists currently, that we have an amazing lease for of $27,000 a year, that does exist, it is in existence. We have students there now. I don't see why we need to spend $1.5 million. And then only if we do that, then we can buy the dirt next door that will be used for hospitality. I personally would rather just buy the dirt ourselves as the college, and we can use it as we wish in the future. And we could pivot in any direction and not solely focus on hospitality, because we have plenty of room in our building now to do hospitality and culinary, because we only teach about 4 days a week and the building is not full 8 hours a day. We have plenty of room to do what we need to do without spending more money. Sorry.
I guess I have a different viewpoint in that I respect all of the time and the effort that you've put in. And you know, when I go to a car dealership and the owner of the car dealer came up to me unsolicited and said he donated $50,000 and was happy to donate $50,000 to me. Your work in getting community people involved and wanting to make this the best hospitality and culinary institute around kind of fits with your, you know, burger versus burger theory, you know.
Can I have the floor?
Kim.
Yeah, yeah, this is Kim. To Dave's point, I don't think anybody's questioning, you know, the hard work that's been put in so far, or Mr. Redler's commitment to Butler, which is very much appreciated. I'm coming at this from the notion of, like Shelby said, we have a very appealing lease. There's just no reason financially to speed up purchasing the building when we have a lot of unknowns. With regard to the lease, I know we're at $2,500 a month or so. Who's paying the special assessments on the building? Is that Butler's responsibility or the landlord's?
I believe right now we're covering all those costs through the lease.
Okay, so it's a triple net,
Yeah,
or it's in
triple net
addition
lease.
to that.
Mhm.
Okay. Just for anybody's reference, there's $50,000 in total special assessments on the property, and those don't get waived because you're a school. Those are infrastructure charges that are going to come with the cost of the building, regardless of whether we own it or not, apparently, if we sign that lease. So I acknowledge that the 564 would be a great price for that building, but we're actually paying 1.5 based on promises of people that have said they're going to pledge so much money. But the lease that we're paying right now, if you capitalize that and look at it from an income standpoint and share it just purely from an investment standpoint, it makes just as much financial sense to go ahead and stick with the lease for at least a year or two to make sure that these things come to fruition and, you know, make sure that we are moving in a positive direction. We don't have, or at least I've not been provided any statistics with regard to what 80 students means in terms of profit to the college. And if we are able to grow that, what does that growth do? What's that look like? It would be nice to see those kind of numbers. And then absolutely keep moving in a forward direction. I like Shelby's idea of just buying the lot next door. It makes sense if you're the adjoining landowner to own that. And then we have the right to do with it as we please. And if we end up buying this next year, the year after that, and decide to do something in the hospitality realm, and Mr. Redler and company wants to jump in and help, then great. I just wish we had a little bit more solid information, especially just coming off the heels of COVID. You know, I run 5 Airbnbs. I know what kind of impact that had. And I agree that there's demand for the future, but there's also a real problem with the pay scale with that's why there's such a labor shortage, is that, you know, restaurant owners still expect to pay kids $2 an hour, and then the people coming in tipping them. I mean, it's a big picture problem that we're never going to solve, but there's a lot of moving parts, I believe, in the hospitality industry that we're not going to fix in Andover, Kansas, or Butler Community College personally. So it's just the safer bet to me is just to give it a minute. just let the dust settle.
Scott, can you speak a little bit to specifically the industry in South Central Kansas in the Wichita area? From your experience with, how you see things happening there, because typically our students are gonna, they're working in this area. They're gonna, probably the majority of them are gonna stay in this area.
Yes. Well, is there a demand? Yes. Is there a demand for more restaurants in our market? Yes. For people that understand how to do it and grow it. And, one of the things, Culinary Institute of America, which is a premier one in the country, is $51,000 a year. I believe our Butler Culinary program is 13,000 or something like that, in that range. And we offer great value. We haven't had the opportunity to go out and market our program to get more students. We basically turned off the hospitality side, by the way. And sometimes if you build it, they will come. Freddie's, at the beginning, I had a partner that never wanted to expand it. And think about that decision if we would have not done that. Is there some risk here? Yeah, but I believe it's minimal risk. And the other component that I'm not sure has been shared is that my wife and I are prepared if we get bought out on the other loan, we're going to give back 220,000, the equivalency of what it would cost to buy that dirt to Butler. So when you're factoring those numbers in, I think that's a critical number to understand as we move forward.
This is Trustee Smith again. I just have several more comments. First, I want to address, I talked about the 20th day numbers earlier where we're doing good online. If you look at our Andover, we built or purchased $15 million building over the last few years, and our enrollment in Andover from 2018 to 2022 has fallen 45%. So it's not throw up a big building and we're going to get a lot of students. And also what you guys are presenting to me is very similar to what you presented to me when we had this lease initially. Where's my contract? Where are the specifications? Where's what equipment comes with the building? I have nothing but purchase culinary arts building from BCC Foundation. I have no information of any kind except for what Tom provided. That doesn't state any of that information either. And he also states in the thing that you guys are not allowed, the foundation is not allowed to sell the building until XYZ happens. And then it says here it is. The foundation is required to pay the balance of the loan before any sale can occur. Spark fund and tax credits will be used to reduce this loan to zero. So if this loan has not been reduced to zero, how can they sell it today? And how can I buy a building without a set cost or even a contract in front of me? If we just look in our books, our board book on page 39 or 40, just for a software thing upgrade, we're paying $49,000 and we've got a 4-page contract of all sorts of details. We're asked to be spending $600,000 to $1.5 million roughly with zero details of any kind. That's not professional. I would like to see this on a following month with an actual contract that I can approve and sign. I do agree with Kim that $500-some thousand for that property is a great deal, but that's not what I'm signing here. I'm signing this possibly could happen with possibly this much money. If all XYZ happens, please say yes today. And I don't think that's proper for us to have a responsibility to the taxpayers and the college to sign a document like this. I think it's irresponsible.
Yes, so the action item that you have in front of you is subject to that loan from Commerce, which basically says that the ability for the Board of Trustees to purchase this is only subject to us being able to pay down that loan. So if we do not pay down that loan, there is no transaction and nothing, can I finish? And nothing can occur. But the details of the contract itself, the asking price, that will be developed once we know that towards the end of the year, once all these tax credits are purchased and we get the reimbursement on the Spark Fund, we'll know exactly what that number is going to be. And all of that information, all those questions you raised will be included in that document that will be presented to the board. At that point, it won't be so much the board us asking for the board to do this or not. It'll be the details of the contract and those types of questions you're asking that will be vetted at that next meeting. So this is just the opportunity to be able to go and say, this is what we're going to do once these things happen and we can proceed.
Chair.
I directly asked for the details of that loan to be provided to us before the meeting, which it was not. And you're asking, the action tonight is purchase the building from the foundation.
Yeah.
You guys are unable to sell it tonight. I can't purchase,
Again-
you could say, give our approval that we intend to purchase it if all these things that you say do come to fruition. I could agree with that, but I cannot say that I will purchase it without even seeing the loan that it's.
Well, the loan is
Subject
between
to.
the Commerce Bank and the foundation. So that's our business. And so, but in order to be able to complete the transaction, we have to fulfill that. That's why I have the language in there, subject to.
So
So
we're obligated to the 1.5 if those other things don't happen. That's what we'd be approving tonight.
right,
Obligated to the 1.5, but you know that there's going to be, those pledges are going to be committed to that balance over the next mainly 5 years. The remainder, comes in 5 to 10 years, just a small amount, but those
Right.
pledges get recommitted to that balance
But
to
there's
make it
no- there's
about
no
500.
law that says those people have to pay those funds.
I think it's important for you to understand that the people that have given to this building are committed to it. And I would, without disclosing names, I can tell you that those pledges will be paid.
Okay,
Knowing the
so-
people that have committed the dollars and the corporations that have committed them, those dollars will come in.
Okay, so my other question would be if we don't buy this building, I understand everybody's excitement for the program and the plans for the program and the expectation of the program. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe any of those things change if we don't purchase the building tonight. We're still excited about it. We still have a great building. Still have a really good lease in place. We have really excited staff. We have a great facility. Is the college's position going to change any if we don't purchase this building tonight?
I would say that I think this is about the vision for the program and the opportunity for, the college to have ownership of a really amazing facility and to be able to say that it's Butler Community College's facility, Redler Institute of Culinary Arts. I think it's about the vision of this program and whether the board is willing to make that commitment to help it grow and thrive, and move forward with, what we really believe is a tremendous opportunity to command the market. This is the program that's been in place for years. It's a program of excellence. It's respected. It's sought after. And so part of it is about vision, Kim, I think too.
But all of those things still exist if we don't own the building today. And to Shelby's point, it's just, it's just a big amount of money with a lot and from where I'm sitting, gray area, that could be settled very easily with just a little bit of time.
Not much time.
I have a couple of comments on that. I mean, we get told we've led the way X number of years, yada, yada, yada. And then the other side of our mouth, oh, you guys were at a subpar facility in Boston Rec, but you made it work. It's like, let's not say that we were subpar and made it work, but now we're great because we got the building and we're only going to be greater if we transfer funds to Scott Redler, and then we'll be the greatest because we'll own the building. I mean, if we want to do this tonight and make a deal, let's say we will purchase the building tonight for $564,675, period. The other funds will roll in, let them roll into the foundation. But I don't want to sign a contract there's not enough detail here to just say we'll buy it on faith because there are some numbers that people have made promises on. That's not a proper way to run a business.
Madam Chair, if I could have the floor when he's finished.
I'm
I
done.
want to make my first comments. It's really hard for me to explain my thoughts sometimes when it's not obvious that I have the information that I need. But I do agree with both of these trustees, Kim and Shelby, in the fact that we don't have a lot of information. I think sometimes in viewing all of the circumstances, I feel like the foundation, although originally created to be of tremendous assistance to the college and still is, I feel like that they usurp their authority sometimes in trying to overcome the trustees' vote on the college. Now, that is just my opinion, but it's like they're the ones that are making the directives, and we're the ones that are expected to follow all of those visions and directives. And some of those visions and directives, although are really reasonable and for the most part good, they need to be a little bit more challenged, just because we as trustees don't have the information to do the business decisions and make the business decisions that we need to make. We the trustees have no idea what you're going to spring next as a foundation. And we're told to trust the foundation, and we want to trust the foundation, and we welcome donations to the college, but by taking these contributions through the foundation and not into the college directly, it's like you've taken over the steering wheel as the foundation, and we, the trustees, are just a bunch of figureheads that are supposed to do everything that you see as a vision. And sometimes the visions to a business person, sometimes I can't justify the visions because the numbers don't add up for one reason or the other. And all due respect to Mr. Redler, he's done a tremendous thing for the college. But I agree with Shelby and with Kim, we perhaps should be thinking about, let's stall this for a few more months until we get some details, like maybe an appraisal on the building, maybe see where the market's going to go. How much money can we, the college, buy that land for? I'm very interested in that. And that would put the responsibility for the future back in the elected trustees' hands and take it out of where are we going with the college through the foundation? Because that's, whether I'm right or wrong, that's how it feels from a trustee's perspective. And secondly, I'm a little concerned because so many people on the board itself, on the trustee board, have so many ties to the foundation, whether, I mean, I really don't want to go into the detail, but you know, like Forrest, he's been on the board of directors for the foundation for a long time. You know, there's presumed campaign funds that have gone into trustees elections from foundation members and so forth. And, you know, I don't have any of those ties. I'm just a freely elected person that wants to do the right thing for Butler, and not just the citizens, but for the college as well. And I'm not trying to grandiose or grandstand here. I'm just saying that signing leases that are missing, devoid big parts of information is not my cup of tea. Agreeing to buy this brand new building without any of the details that I feel needed to make a good business decision, not being in front of me, I'm not really executing the duties of a trustee to protect the resources by making a vote on that. So I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm trying to get the foundation in particular to understand why the trustees may not be really thrilled about this without having a lot of information. I know Tom would just like us to trust him. And for the most part, I don't think that's an issue as much as it is, as elected trustees, we are not obligated, or shouldn't be obligated, to the foundation. And I feel some of us are. I in particular am not, but I do feel some of us are. So that was my first comment.
Okay, so from what we're hearing, we basically have four possible.
I can't hear whoever's speaking right now.
It's me, I'm sorry. This is Linda, and from what I'm hearing, we basically have about four options. One, we can vote on this. Two, we can table it and bring it back in December with certain information. Two, we can make a decision tonight with exceptions. Or three, we can take it to the work session and then back to the meeting in December. So does that cover what we've talked about as possibilities?
I would move to,
Wait just a minute, because Forrest and Mary Martha aren't here. Let me say, do either of you have comments?
I have a little bit to comment. I'm happy to wait until Mary Martha has, if she wants to go first.
Well,
Okay.
thank you, Forrest. That's very nice of you. I'm just saying that this is a heck of a proposition from Redler to us. And I need to remind people, you know, we're not in the business to make money. We're a college. We're here to serve the people who want to take these courses, these classes, and be successful. So that's my 2 cents right there.
Okay, Forrest.
Okay, I'll try not to be too rambling here. To Julie's comments, you're just flat out wrong. I'm not beholden to the foundation. I was a foundation board member for several years before I became a trustee because I believe in the mission of the foundation and I believe in the college. I withdrew from the foundation board after I was elected as a trustee because I didn't feel I should be sitting on both directly. The board of trustees appointed me back on the foundation as the board liaison, and that's the position I've held for the last 2 years. It is offensive for you to suggest that I'm looking out for some self-interest or best interest of the foundation in place of the college.
I'm sorry you feel that way,
issue-
Forrest.
No, you really aren't. That's why you said it, but that's
I'm
fine.
sorry that
Okay.
you feel that way, Forrest.
We'll go on. We'll go on. What we're being presented with is a tremendous opportunity. And I acknowledge there is some element of trust involved in this. And I recall us having a very similar discussion about the lease of the Culinary building moving from Boston Rec. And I heard very similar complaints from some of the trustees about that. And these are now the same trustees that are calling the agreement that they were all worried about a sweetheart lease that we should be very happy with, which to me, I think just proves the fact that the foundation is absolutely in alignment with the college's best interests. Now, if you decide as a trustee that you don't want to pursue Culinary, that's a decision for a trustee to make. But to suggest that the foundation is working at interests that are apart from the college, I think is just flat out wrong. We have an opportunity right now to purchase a building for a fraction of what it's worth. And going out and asking for an appraisal, Kim has already acknowledged the value of that building is so much in excess of what we're being asked to pay for it. Even if you paid 1.5 for it, which we acknowledge based on not only Dr. Kroll's representations about the substance behind the pending donations, but simply the foundation's track record of what their collection rate is for pledges that are made to the college generally. It is unrealistic to think that we're taking on a $1.5 million obligation. I understand the technical possibility of that, but that's not realistic. We're taking on a less than $600,000 obligation, and the Redlers have already acknowledged that they're going to transmit almost half of that back to us through the land. So we're really we've got an opportunity right now, essentially to take what's already a hugely discounted price and get it for half price when you recognize the credit that the Redlers are willing to offer on I believe it's the tax credits that will pay for the land, that the trustees can decide on another day what it's going to be used for. We're not voting today to expand hospitality. That is certainly part of a long-term vision, but we're not committing ourselves to that right now. We're getting the land for a substantial discount as part of a package opportunity, and the trustee board in a different time and a different day is going to eventually decide how to use that land. We're not committed to that right now, so I don't think we should be acting like we are. To Shelby's point about not having information, I could get my head around waiting a month if there's information that would be provided that would help make the decision. I tend to think, based on listening to the comments that Shelby and Kim made before the issue of these lacking details came out, I don't think they support this. They don't support this based on what we know, that no amount of detail is going to change your mind. So, if I'm misreading your intentions, then I apologize and you can tell me. I think this is simply a way to push this back a month. But with that said, if you guys feel strongly that you can't in good faith even consider this without that information, then I don't mind waiting for a month to get it, but I just want to I want to announce to the public that I think this is simply a stall tactic on the part of people that have sort of signaled they don't support this anyway.
That's just
Okay.
wrong of you to.
Sure.
say that.
Okay. Can I make a comment?
Yes, you may.
Maybe.
I was just gonna respond to his.
Okay. One of the things that's been brought up that I have as a question, and I'll ask you this, Tom.
Mhm.
So the loan with Commerce Bank is secured with the real estate. And do I understand that the equipment that's in the building has either been donated or we've paid for it and it belongs to the college,
It belongs to the
to the foundation?
right.
Yeah.
But that's part of the building is the equipment as well.
Oh, so the collateral is the equipment also
Yeah. So
for the loan?
So it's not a true loan like that. There is an agreement with Commerce to not assign our pledges to somebody else. And before we can sell this property or do anything with it, they want to make sure that we have those dollars in place to bring down that loan to zero. The way we've worked it, Linda, is that we have the tax credits that are remaining to be sold, as well as the Spark Fund will more than cover the balance that's currently on that loan, which will more than likely end at the end of this year, because we'll get most of that money in the next 2 to 3 months. Once that happens, then we know that we don't have that obligation any longer with Commerce. What's left over from the fundraising after we've covered the Commerce loan would then go to reduce the balance of what we call the Redler loan, which was the 1.5 million that we originally took out at the beginning with Mr. and Mrs. Redler to help cover the upfront costs, in addition to the $1 million gift that they gave. So that then will bring that 1.5 down to, and right now we're looking at 1.1 million or so in that balance. So our calculation is that 1.1 million will be reduced by the balance of the pledges that remain, which are roughly about, $500,000 or $600,000, which gets us to that $564,000 net number that would be left over for the cost of the building.
And that's the actual cash that we would supply at the time.
So what
of
you
the
would do is you would
transaction.
pay the balance of the Redler loan to the foundation. The foundation then would pay off that Redler loan. And then we would then assign the pledges that we have in place to the college. And then as those pledges come in, we will give that to the college. That 3 to 5 year period is where I'm saying is about $500,000 to $600,000. That'll come, majority will come in during that time. And then you've got a little trailing one after that from year 5 to 10. So all of it will come to the college after year 10 is the plan.
Madam Chair.
I think Shelby was next.
Okay. Once again, this is stuff that should be in a contract that we're gonna sign, not, do we even get the equipment? Oh, sure, maybe. And on our form here, it says Commerce Bank loan balance is 825,000. You're asking for 1.5 million, but sorry, Forrest, to address you straight up. I said earlier, I'll say it again, anybody watching in Cake Land, $564,000 for that building is a kick-ass deal. It's a hell of a deal. We should buy it for that amount. $1.5 million today, when we're leasing it for 27,000 a year, is not the same deal we're talking about. You could invest your 1.5 at 4% interest, clear 65 grand, take out your 27,000, have $40,000 more next year for the same thing. There's no imperative to do it now, especially with no contract. I think the end price is amazing, but the 1.5 is not what we're being asked for today. We're being asked for $1.5 million today, not 600,000 today. It's two different questions in my
You're
book.
being asked up to 1.5, not 1.5. So like I said before, I was expressing to Linda, once we know what that final number is, because we've just got a few more expenses, not much, like a sign, I think we have stuff to put up. But we're calculating that the balance that will be on the Redler loan is about 1.154, I think is what the number is.
Right. That's
And so then that would be what we would ask, whatever that number is officially from the college. But we all are in agreement that the college will make a purchase somewhere in that range. And then we will then assign those pledges that already exist. They're already there to the college, which will then be paid off over that time period, and you'll get to that net number.
Okay, I would just like to do this a month from now with all this in writing. And the only thing that I've talked with you before, and you said it last month. Mr. Redler has a loan, we pay back his loan, so he gets his money, then he donates some of that money. He takes the dirt, he holds on to the dirt for the purpose of hospitality, and if we don't choose to do hospitality, there's no guarantee we get that dirt. That's why we were told last month.
That's incorrect, Shelby.
Okay.
He
Well,
makes
could
it,
we have that in writing?
I've spelled that out in the summary. What Mr. Redler has agreed to do is make a gift to the foundation. The foundation will purchase the property and hold it for the college until the college is ready to do whatever it wants to do with that property.
And you're saying on record in the future with that piece of property, whatever the board decides at that time for whatever program it will be used for
Yes.
that, not only hospitality.
Now, what Mr. Redler and others will advocate for is a hotel management hospitality center, because they have a vision there, what they want to see. Now, that has to be vetted with the board, but it gives this board the opportunity to go through that process. It captures the land at no cost to this college to get that land, but it allows the opportunity to explore. And
What if
that's,
we want to set up an automotive tech thing there. If we have another department or some IT thing that happens, we have great.
whoever brings that will have to present that and try to create some agreement that that's the best use of that land.
That's why I would rather have the college own the land, not the foundation own the land, then the college can direct the use of the land without having to jump through hoops of the foundation.
Agree.
That can be worked out, but it, that's kind of a couple steps down the road here. First, we've got to resolve this other issue first.
Is the land not for sale publicly? It can
Oh,
only be
it's
bought by the
for sale
foundation?
Publicly.
Okay, so back
Linda.
to,
Jim Rungard has a
oh,
question.
I'm sorry,
My
I didn't
hands
see you.
like got no circulation here. Yeah. To address Forrest's comments, I'm absolutely not against the culinary program. I couldn't be more for the program, considering we already have a facility and we're already trying to do that. So the notion that I'm just against culinary is not correct. Again, like what Shelby was saying, 1.5 for this building is different than the 564. If what Tom is saying is reasonable, it's not, maybe the motion is not to exceed 1.2 million. Seems like padding that by $300,000 is excessive, number one. But if you look at a special use, if you look at it from an appraisal standpoint, a special use property is worth a fraction of the cost if what it was built for is not successful. Perfect example right now is a $6 million facility that's on the auction block that was built in 2010 in Andover for a senior center. It will sell for pennies on the dollar next week. Just watch the auction, because it's gone through bankruptcy court. Why? Because of COVID, and because the people running it, who are stellar in the industry, tanked because of something they couldn't foresee. That's my point, is we don't seem to have a plan for the worst case scenario. We are only getting told it's great, it's all going to be fine. And it can all be fine without buying it tonight. And to Forrest's point, is there something that would make me feel comfortable buying it next month? I guess if you have the solid numbers of what it's actually going to be, what the Redler loan is actually going to be. And the other thing is just a realistic projection of what if enrollment drops by 25% when WSU opens theirs? What's it look like then financially? To Mary's point, we're not running a business, but we also can't run a school if we run the school into the ground financially, because we weren't responsible with the funds that were given. That's the last thing I'll say on it. I don't know what else I could possibly.
I want to ask Scott one more question, please. So do you see, Scott, in that location and the way that building was built with commercial kitchens and things like that, do you see if it doesn't continue for some reason as a culinary, location for our program, do you see a future use of that building the way that it's been built and the way that it's equipped?
I'd put a restaurant in there in a heartbeat. As what a lot of other people, I mean, you'd be walking in for a fraction of the cost of what a restaurant would cost to open, in a beautiful facility with great aesthetics and walls that move and all the toys and bells and whistles that are in that building. I mean, that building, You just factor in the dirt alone, the dirt's worth $700 something thousand, and the foundation, you're being asked to pay 500 something thousand for for the dirt. And with the building on it, that's worth, $4 million. My math is different than what I'm hearing, but I don't know. It's a little different.
But we don't have that in front of us. Madam Chair, could I just make that comment, please?
Sure.
We don't have that information in front of us. I have a tremendous lengthy accounting background, and although I so much appreciate what you're doing, and Freddy's is my favorite place to eat hamburger.
Well, thank you.
So I can understand and I appreciate everything that you're doing, but the fact is, as a trustee, a better way that I can serve in my position is to have solid, at least some kind of comparison in front of me, instead of listening to a speech, something I can look at and say, oh, here's the before, here's the after, here's what it's going to cost, estimate, here's what's going to happen. And, you can even put all of the conditions in there, like you do in front of an estimate that says, hey, depends on this, depends on that, whatever. That's fine. But having nothing is just not my cup of tea, Mr. Redler. I'm so sorry.
No, I get that. I do like, I don't know who said it, but I respect it. The person who commented on the mission of the college. We're involved, my wife and I are involved in a lot of nonprofits, and a lot of people forget we're not here to make a profit. We're here to serve the community and serve students. And my wife and I believe 100% that that's the goal here, to change people's lives, to take them off of programs that would be taking cash out of your community and making them worthwhile citizens that add value to the community. And we're big believers in that. And with other nonprofits we've done, when we've had naming rights, we've named CEO offices because we remind people that yes, it's a nonprofit organization, but there's a business side to the business. And the reality is, to build this building, it would cost somebody $350 or $400 a square foot. It's pretty easy math. As someone I thought was in real estate here, we know the value of the land. And we're trying to give you another $220,000 to own a piece of dirt for free if we no longer have that loan.
And I
Yeah,
so much appreciate that. And
I know.
I completely understand what you're saying, and I don't really have a problem with it. I think it's great. The only thing I have a problem with is I don't really know the numbers. And while I understand it is a certain amount of tax contribution value and so forth, we have to make really legitimate business decisions. And we, as elected officials, we like to be able to do that instead of that decision-making process being taken out of our hands. But I don't want you to think at all that I'm against the culinary program. I admired the building as it was going up.
Yes.
I've told people about it. I love the prospect of that. I know there's a lot of missing personnel in those areas. So to say that I'm against that is just so wrong. Just because I ask questions, just because I want something in writing, doesn't mean I'm against anything. It just means that I have a good head for numbers, and I would like to see the before and after. That's what it really means.
Okay, at this point, do we have a recommended action? Does anyone want to make
Well,
a motion?
I'm going to speak up. I'm going to say that I'm going to move that we approve the purchase of the culinary building from the foundation
Of course you are.
for an amount not to exceed $1.5 million, subject to the terms of the Commerce Bank loan, the Butler Community College Foundation will assign its pledgeables, receivables, and outright gifts to date from the culinary project to Butler Community College.
Do we see a second? Or do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, motion by Dave Shear and second by Mary Martha. Could we have a vote, please?
No, we have a
Oh, I'm
discussion.
sorry, we have discussion. I apologize. Anyone want to make additional comments? Mary Martha or Forrest? I guess Shelby's going to be next if you're, I don't see hands. So Shelby?
No, Mike, I'm sorry, Linda, my comment would be a question. I don't want to kick the can down the road for the sake of kicking the can down the road. my comments before about my inference of the other trustees' views, I don't think I said that I thought you were against culinary. And if that's how it was interpreted, I apologize because that was not my intention. My perception of comments earlier were that you were not in favor of this proposal. Not that I'm not suggesting anybody is not in favor of the culinary program, but if we're kicking the can down the road in order to tee this up next month, and everyone that's currently representing it, they're opposed to it, is going to vote no, then I'm hesitant to want to kick the can down the road. If there is some legitimate piece of information that someone feels like they need and don't presently have that would allow them to meaningfully consider the proposal, then I can get my head around that. But I think there needs to be a clear definition of what information is needed so that Tom and Dr. Kroll, the very clear direction, if that's the path that someone wants to try to move, there needs to be very clear direction of what we don't have and what we need. Not a moving target of well, we could vote to amend if that's what someone wants to do. But what I don't want, what I would prefer to avoid seeing happening is we ask for information now, and then next month comes around and there's more information that we don't have or that we want. And then we want to push it again. And then it just becomes a moving target to no meaningful end.
Okay, so right now we have a motion on the table to purchase the Culinary Arts building. Oh, I'm sorry, Shelby.
Okay, Forrest, if we could do it this way, I would make a secondary motion to approve the purchase of the culinary building for $600,000. I'm serious about buying it. That is a good price. What we're being asked to do is not a serious offer right now with all this ambiguity.
But I don't think that's an option. If I understood what Tom said, we can't, the Redler loan has to be paid off before title can transfer to the college. So us agreeing to pay, okay, sorry if I misstated that, sorry.
No, that's okay. Just to clarify, the Commerce loan, which will be paid with the tax credits that we're currently receiving, and the Spark funding, which we're waiting to receive reimbursement for, will eliminate the Commerce loan. So then the obligations the foundation has to the Commerce Bank will go away. All that will be left over is the balance of the Redler loan, which we'll know based on what we get in from the tax credits, how much we can put towards the Redler loan, which will give them the balance of what that loan is. That's why I said up to 1.5. I don't think it's not going to be 1.5 based on what we're seeing, but it's sitting right now at about 1.1 whatever. But it could fluctuate to 200,000 if we don't get X number of tax credits in or something. So there's a little bit of room for flexibility. But once that occurs, then we can deal with the Redler loan, and then we can then pay that off, and then the transaction goes on. Yes.
And just let me clarify real quick. Forrest, just to get this deal done, the foundation's got 15 million bucks on hand. We've got $30 million on hand. Figure it out with your spare change. You've got the 15 million. Let's buy it for 600,000 a night and be done with it. And that'll be our total out of pocket, and not have to do the dance of if, then, what, when, where, whatever. Let all the stuff roll into the foundation later, and they can get their money reimbursed to them, and we're not taking it on our end.
No, I agree.
But somebody would have to second my 600,000, which probably you guys don't want to do.
I'll second it.
What is the square footage of the building?
Scott, do you remember what the square footage is? I don't have-
8,500 square feet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
85, I think it's 85, 8352, something like that.
You mentioned previously that you would put a restaurant there. Typically, though, from what I do know about restaurants, is the shell of a restaurant is actually much cheaper than the numbers we're talking about. It's the build out. If it's brand specific, like a franchise or whatever, that's when you get into the real expense. And that in that scenario, a bank doesn't always like to cover a lot of that, because that's not as valuable. It's not-
Actually, the kitchen is the expense. The cost per square foot in the kitchen is extremely high because of hoods, floors,
Right.
walls, ceilings, and the kitchen is a generic piece. The equipment can be moved around to accommodate any restaurant. The cheaper part to remodel, when you build a restaurant, the dining room is the cheapest part, and that is where you're talking branding, as you suggested.
Okay. And the kitchen is set up such that it would make sense for a restaurant. I haven't been in the building, I apologize. So is it towards, would it have a logical layout for that, or would there be a great deal of
Very,
expense?
very
that
much
we-
so. Yes.
So I know we have a motion and a second, an amendment and a second. Could we land it like not to exceed 1,250,000, since we think the numbers are coming in lower than that anyway? To try to get something besides a 4-3 vote? Because to their point, in that location, if it's a shell and that's a good square footage for a base of a restaurant, but that's not padding it extra for, the whatever, is that something that everybody could, holy crap, agree on?
Do a maximum of $1 million flat. I can do that.
Are we auctioning?
I'm not. I just don't see all the hubbub when there's 15 on their side, 30 on our side, and we're just pinching pennies and making it a difficult agreement without actually having a written agreement in front of me.
And nothing.
And I
in front
can't
of
sign on to something that's,
I think anything we do needs to be, I'm to agreeing, God, I can't talk. That it would be difficult to make a motion to say we're absolutely gonna buy this. To me, there would be a lot of contingencies on that motion to be ethical and legal in regard to it, if I'm not mistaken. But I think it's more a matter of the number.
And just to clarify, Kim, this is a motion to allow us to get the ball rolling for the purchase within
Okay.
those parameters.
Okay,
That's what I'm asking. I'm not asking you to purchase it today, but so within those parameters, this is where we're going to fall. And if, let's say the loan is 1.7 million,
right.
then it can't happen. It has to be below 1.5 or below. And I'm telling you right now, based on the numbers that we're looking at, people making gifts, it's going to be that. But I can't guarantee you to sit here right now, it's going to be this number, because I don't have that money in the door. What I have we're going to do this waiting on the pledges. And Scott's working directly with our prospective donors as well. And many of these people have relationships with Scott. We're just kind of tidying things up. The things that we haven't talked about here is the owner of this land is waiting. And he's given some preference to Butler to say, what are you going to do?
We could motion to put out a letter of intent, which is extremely common in the commercial real estate world,
know.
subject to the college approving that, and get our foot in the door with regard to that land. I think the thing that Shelby keeps circling around on, and that still makes sense, is that if you look at it from purely an investment standpoint, if the college has even 1,250,000 wrapped up in something that, based on what we're paying for it right now, is a $560,000 asset, just based on your rate of return and cap rates and so forth, using our current lease rate with this value. I think even Mr. Redler would agree that all just kind of gels. So if we pay extra to the, 1,250,000 or 1.5 million, then we're utilizing funds within the college that we don't need to right now, because we already have this facility retained at a much lower price. I wasn't on the board when the lease was approved. I'm glad it's there, and I'm glad it's, beneficial to the college. So, I don't know. I'm not really thrilled with either option that's currently on the table, so
Well, you can make one.
I think I need to vote on the secondary motion.
Yeah.
And then.
I mean, I would support Shelby's motion, but it didn't matter.
Just trying to explain to Forrest that I'm super serious about buying it for 600 grand a night.
Right.
If that's what we're gonna pay
And
at the
not
end of the
tying
day.
up the college's
But like,
funds.
if there was a Freddy's across the street that we were leasing for $2,500 a month, and the owner said, you want to give me 1.5 million for it, I'd be like, no, thank you.
I'll
I'll
keep my
continue
money.
for 2,500 a month. And then maybe in a year or two, when everything's profitable, buy it then. That's just kind of what I'm being asked for, is to pay everything up front now. And the foundation owns the asset. We are currently leasing the asset. There's no need to do any of this right now today.
Well, Shelby, my one comment, I just want to make sure everyone's clear. My wife and I were offering $220,000 is not a forever offer. There's tax credits that expire, and it's trying to get it done by the end of the year, and there's value to us. We're willing to give a check for $220,000 January 1. I'm not going to say that's going to happen. So
Would you be willing to deed the land to the college with no strings attached?
it's legally a pain for me to do it. I don't want to go through the legal headache of doing that, quite honestly.
Would you write that on a piece of paper that you're donating that money and you have, and the college
Well,
may
I'm
do
gonna-
with
if
it
you
what they
approve-
wish?
What I put on a piece of paper right now, that what I will donate 220,000 if you approve this thing to pay us back the loan, absolutely I will. But I really, you shouldn't have to worry about me. I've already given the college over $1 million. I bought a food truck for the college. I've loaned them $1.5 million, and you're questioning my word a little bit, and I'm a little offended by that. But I would absolutely, if that would help you get over the hump, I will write it right now and take a picture of it and send it to whoever you need it to go to.
Well, I'm not trying to offend you. You're just asking me to sign a contract
get it.
without giving me a contract. And I can't
I'm good
imagine
with
you would
that.
do that in business either. Somebody just gives you a good
Yeah.
idea and shake your hand. It's like, I have to do better than that for my investors. Put it in writing. Let's make a deal tomorrow. If you present me an acceptable contract, which
Yeah,
I do not have.
If Shelby, if me writing that we will, upon approval of the 101.5, that my wife and I will donate 220,000 on the tax credit program by the end of this year, I'll put that in writing and have it to you if you accept handwritten, in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Would
That-
that
that's
be
that's not what I asked for. I asked for a donation to the college with no strings attached that the college may do with as it wishes. But I honestly can't vote for 1.5 million when I could easily invest that money and net 40 grand every year and still capture $27,000 a year lease.
Okay, let's
So-
go back to, we've got a motion. Let's get rid,
We got a
let's,
motion, a second.
let's address the motions and if everyone's willing and see where we go from there. So the first motion we have is to purchase the Culinary Arts Building from the foundation for $600,000. Is that correct? And we had a second to that motion? Okay.
I think the first motion was the proposed motion that Dave made, which was as stated in the board book. Then there was a motion. There can't be another motion on that. There could be a motion to amend, but there can't be another motion until Dave's is voted on, unless it's amending Dave's.
That's not correct, Forrest. I made a secondary motion to amend the first
Yeah,
motion.
he did motion
First
to
motion.
amend.
Okay, so we're not voting on that motion. We're not voting on the 600 number. We're voting whether to amend the request to be 600 or the limit. It might be semantics, but I want to make sure I understand what I'm voting on.
Yeah, what you just said is right.
Okay, are we clear?
We're moving to amend the motion to,
Are we ready for the
Yeah.
Okay.
ready for a vote
trustee
then.
Good? Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
We're voting to amend the motion
You're voting to amend the motion
to
to
six,
make the
Would-
purchase price $600,000 is what you're amending Dave's original motion.
then my answer is no.
trustee Rhodes,
No,
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
No.
trustee Smith.
yes.
I need to refrain. I need to restate my vote again.
I don't think you can.
We
do
were waiting
that.
for you to do that, Mary.
You can just vote no when we
Yeah,
go
just
around
vote
the
no
table
when we
and
go
say-
on the.
Say no the next time.
I would like to go ahead and vote no. Thank you.
So the amendment-
I don't
the
think
amended
that should be
motion didn't
allowed.
pass, And so you go back to the original. I think you go back to the original.
I guess. It depends.
So we can
I
say.
believe it did pass, but Mary's saying she voted yes
So
on
the
that
three no's.
She said.
No, she said yes.
Oh,
originally.
So it did pass, and you're not really supposed to re-vote after you collect all the votes, which.
But she said her next vote will be no.
Yeah.
However you want to do it officially, it's. She didn't say that.
Okay, so the motion passed to do the amendment 4
I
to
think she
3,
misunderstood.
correct?
Just
We're gonna-
600,000.
And so the next motion then is purchase the Culinary Building from BCC Foundation for $600,000. Not to exceed, or do we do all the rest that he had in his motion?
I would say-
Subject to the
Just
terms of
straight
the
up
Commerce
600,000.
Bank loan?
Yeah, because it
Or
doesn't
it's
apply now.
just, okay, it doesn't apply now. So The question is, do we have, the motion then we're voting on at this time is to purchase the Culinary Arts Building from the BCC Foundation for $600,000.
Ready?
I would make a motion to amend to increase that number to the 1.25 million that Kim proposed earlier.
And I'll second that.
Okay,
I'm
so
getting really lost here.
now
All
we
these
have a
motions made me
motion to
like-
purchase the Culinary Arts Building from the BCC Foundation, an amendment for 1.25 million.
Does
Not-
Mr.
not
Redler's,
To exceed and subject to.
yeah, yeah, does Mr.
Oh, now we're
Redler's,
going back to the not to exceed and
It would
subject
have, it would
to.
have to, yeah.
does the 1.25 million, Mr. Redler, do you still have the same proposal on the table with the lot next door that you
Yes, I
did at
think
the
that-
1.5?
Based on the numbers, I think that pays off the loan, and I'm still good with the 220 with that. Correct.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so
Ready to call the roll?
heaven forbid, we might agree.
This is for the amendment to.
Yeah, this is for the amendment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trustee Good,
You might explain the amendment to her since we have a time gap.
I'll let.
Okay,
Okay.
that's okay. I'm going to vote yes. Thank you.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
yes,
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes,
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
No,
so that passes 6-1. We're there.
That was the.
that was to
amendment.
amend the motion.
That was for the amendment.
That
Now
was
we
to-
have to go back
And vote for the motion.
vote for the motion to
we have a break.
purchase the building for, from the BCC Foundation for not to exceed $1.25 million, subject to the terms of the Commerce Bank loan. Butler Community College Foundation will assign its pledge receivables and outright gifts to make to date from the culinary program to Butler Community College. Okay, and then a motion on, vote on that, please.
Trustee Good,
Wait,
Yes.
Someone needs to move that for that and then second, and then we can vote. You
Okay,
just read it. I would so move as, no, I won't. I'm going to vote against you.
I move that the Butler Community College will purchase a culinary building from the Butler Community College Foundation for the amount not to exceed $1,250,000, subject to the terms of the Commerce Bank loan. Butler Community College Foundation will assign its pledge receivables and outright gifts to date from the culinary project to Butler Community College. And that is my motion.
and I'll second it.
all right. Are we ready for the roll?
Yes, roll call, please.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes,
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes,
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
okay, motion passes 6-1. Okay, next was the addition. Thank
Hey,
you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Scott.
Redler. We
Yes,
appreciate
thank
all
you.
do.
thank you.
Mr.
Thank you
Redler,
all.
thank you
We're
very much.
We're very excited, and I hope that we can all celebrate and watch these numbers go the way we think they're going to go. Thank you all.
Okay, sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reading from a past thing, maybe we made it a win-win situation.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I hope so.
Okay, so
But we need
now
need a
we're
break.
moving to item. Yeah,
We
we'll
need a
take a quick break here and be back in a little bit. May I have a motion?
I think we just take a break.
We can just we'll just take a 10-minute break.
7:10. That gives everybody about 10 minutes. Is that enough?
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, 10-minute break.
Be back 10 minutes.
Keep up with our old folks. Yeah, that was kind of a, that was definitely a circus there. But yeah.
Oh.
Well, not all the board of trustees, but this way down.
Yeah. So what else? Yeah, this is great.
We have a Come here. Come here. We've got this and then to vote on the consent agenda and then supplement. Does that help you?
We just have a basketball game and Tyler needs a PA announcer, so it's either gonna be me or Bill.
Oh. Are you gonna go, Bill?
No, this. It's not. The challenge that we ran into is that we were put on our heels pretty quickly because. And so. And it is. Competition will be, I think, across the program. I trust Scott's leadership. And what I hear the leadership is that.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I know I'm a jerk, so it works out.
It's your prerogative. No, I know, it's your prerogative, yeah. I think the one thing that.
I don't take any of it personal. I'm not trying to be
Not taking it
personal.
personal.
just-
I know.
Oh, I know.
That's the bottom line.
I just gotta have it black and white. I mean, if it was that way.
I think you'll be.
No, I'm happy now with the lease and everything. It's just. I just can't sign on something that's not overly specific. Whew. I thought we were gonna get out of here early.
I did too. What time is it?
7 only feels like 11.
I know it does feel like 11. You know, it was kind of glad it was cloudy because we would have gotten the run of the sun at 6 o'clock.
One more.
Yeah, they're the friend in the work. I got a cost check better.
What? Is there what?
Okay, if everyone's ready, I think we'll continue. The next item, Forrest, with your permission, I want to start this.
You are the chair. You may go right ahead.
I may go right ahead. Okay. On November 2nd, I sent an email to Chairman Rhodes, and it said, over the past month, Trustee Winslow appears to have violated the policy requiring trustees receiving public complaints to forward said information to the college president to address. I felt like, and then I didn't say I felt like, I said, her lack of notice to Dr. Kroll put BCC at a disadvantage when we were contacted by the Kansas Sentinel for comment. I asked that the Board of Trustees investigate this matter and take appropriate action. And my reason for this is that many times we've talked in our strategic planning, we've talked in work sessions and things. You've heard me say that I want us to be a professional board. I want us to conduct ourselves that way. And I felt like we needed to, there's been thoughts about, we just went through bylaws. We didn't make changes, so we have to abide by them or change them. I mean, that's my thought process. So I was asking that we go through the formal process to figure this out. I mean, are we going to appoint a committee as our, there's some handouts here about violation of conduct. But I feel like we need to pursue this according to the guidelines. And if we come to the end and we determine that this is fine and we've done it in a fair manner, I'm fine. I don't want to point fingers or do this on a constant basis, but I am interested, like I said, in us conducting ourselves in a manner that we can be proud of and not, not a personal issue particularly. I don't want you to think that, Julie. I know you felt that way a little while ago, but if you can see where I'm coming from, I would like to see us talk about pursuing the, to discuss this, talk about setting the committee if it's agreeable with everyone, and going through the process. And as I said, determining when we're done exactly how, I mean, I think we will have discussed this out by the time that comes. So I'll open the floor for other comments and discussion.
So what is the actual, do you have the verbiage on here, what the actual policy is you believe she violated?
If you had the opportunity to read through back and forth emails, there was an email that set out the policy. We could find it if you
Yeah,
give
I
us a
think
second here.
attached to this.
What?
I think it should be attached to this.
Yeah.
Let me find it, because that's how I mean, I stewed over this for some time. And as I said, I'm not trying to be ugly about anything. I just would like to talk about this. So let me.
Linda, can I
find-
help frame the discussion?
Yes, you may.
Okay, and I apologize to everybody. I knew I was going to be gone today, and I printed out what I thought was everything I would need. And I'm looking through what I have printed, and I don't have printed the procedure for handling complaints. I'm sorry, I don't have the procedure for how the board should handle an alleged violation of board policy. So I am hopeful, Dr. Kroll, not to put you on the spot, that you might have that. I've read it several times. I think I can represent what it says, but I can't quote it verbatim.
Okay, it's been that has been handed out.
Okay, I don't think the board has to decide anything tonight. I think as the position of chair, when I receive a complaint, I am directed to either set it up for a meeting or appoint a committee to address, not to address the It's to determine whether the complaint alleges a violation of the policy. The committee is not a fact finder in terms of binding the board as to what the board has to do. The committee talks to people if they feel like they need to, determines whether there was an alleged, whether what Linda has alleged in her complaint, if true, would constitute a violation of our bylaws. And if the committee says that it does, then 30 days after tonight, so in this point, it would be the December meeting, or I suppose it could occur later, but it can't occur earlier than 30 days. Then the board as a whole addresses the merits of the complaint, and Julie would, of course, have an opportunity to respond. It is not the purpose of tonight's meeting to try to discuss or explain or justify what anyone did or didn't do. It's simply to make the board aware that there was a complaint, which the board is now aware, and I have to appoint a committee to address it. I shouldn't say that. I don't have to. I could move it forward on my own to the meeting next month. In my opinion, I'd rather have a committee validate that so there's no perception that I'm the one driving this whole ship, and I'm not going to be on the committee. Does anybody disagree? Does anybody disagree? We can circulate a copy of the complaint. That's not a question.
Oh, a copy of Linda's complaint?
Yes, I would like a copy of the complaint.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I think everybody on this board.
And this is Shelby for us. I'm just of the opinion, if somebody talks to me in confidence, I'm under no obligation to pass that along to Dr. Kroll, my employee, if somebody asks me in something in confidence. And if that violates the board policy, I will do so in perpetuity, and you can do what you will with me. But what's the policy of us talking with any other employees in the college? Do we have to notify Dr. Kroll that we talked with?
Let's try not to get wrapped down a rabbit hole. That's not the question right now.
I just want a clarification on that also, though. If we talk to any other college employees, are we supposed to notify Dr. Kroll?
You should, technically. The board
bylaw. Go ahead, Dr. Kroll. I'm sorry.
Mr. Borrego called Kim Brungart to talk to her about the lease, you know, that's her communicating with someone else.
But Tom told me that he was going to call her. I knew that he was going to call her because she had questions at the last meeting. So he told me that he was going to give her a call. And I didn't say to him, you can't call her.
Is she under obligation to tell you that she spoke with
I already knew because Tom told me.
Right, but she should tell you if she didn't know. I mean,
do I have a
Shelby, the provision at issue isn't as broad as what you're describing. I mean, there might be other provisions. The provision at issue says handling complaints.
I know.
And the complaint was not made in confidence. The complaint was made by a mother who wanted resolution. So this wasn't something where.
Let him finish instead of interrupting. Will you please, Shelby, so we can all hear?
This, I don't want to. I would prefer not to go down this rabbit hole. The board can do what the board wants to do. The topic for tonight was for me to make the board aware of the complaint and to make the board aware that there's going to be a committee to look into it pursuant to our bylaws. I don't think the board has to approve that. I'm simply following what the bylaws direct me to do as the chair. I didn't want everyone to know about that through email. So that's why I wanted to set it up as an item tonight on the agenda. I didn't push back on whether it's action or discussion. I don't think it's an action item because the board doesn't, I mean, this is an obligation I have as chair. Now, next month, when this comes back around, if the board doesn't want to find that there was an issue, then that's going to be up to the board at that point. Right now, all we're doing is I'm notifying everyone that there's going to be a committee appointed to look into this, and then we'll circle back around no earlier than 30 days from now, which would mean no earlier than the December meeting.
Okay, this is Shelby again. I understand all that. I'm just worried we've got a upset student and mother who complain, who talked at the public meeting tonight, and our perception in public. What were we going to do about it? Well, we're going to punish the trustee that heard your complaint because that's out of order. And then we may or may not talk about your issue in the future. Who knows? So
I
I'm
think
ready
they're
for us
two
to-
separate, yeah, I think they're two separate issues, but maybe that's a better discussion to have next month. What,
we find
what
the
I would,
bylaw we're talking about?
it's section 5.03.
But we don't have that in front of us, nor do I have the complaint.
I just emailed you the complaint
Well, why didn't you just make copies of it and give it to everybody?
because Linda
It doesn't-
forwarded it to me electronically. I don't have a hard copy of it, Julie. It's on your phone. Pick your
Is the
phone up and
bylaw
look at it.
short
It's on
enough
your
you can
email.
read it?
Hmm.
Is it something you can read, the bylaw?
Yeah, I think so. It just says handling complaints. Individual board members of the board may receive complaints. The following action should be taken in such case. Suggest the complainant seek a remedy from the proper college official, faculty member, dean, vice president, associate vice president of human resources. And next bullet is submit the complaint to the president, preferably in writing, to allow facilitation of approved complaint and grievance policy and process. Complaints regarding the president should be submitted to the board chair, and college-approved policies and process will guide action the board may take.
So there's,
The problem in this case was we didn't know anything about that complaint until I received an email from Patrick Richardson at the Kansas Sentinel. That was the first I knew about it. And he asked me, what we were going to do about this, how we were going to address this, and if this was what the college believed in. And I said, I don't know anything about this complaint. I haven't had any contact. Mother hasn't contacted me, and so I asked him, I told him that we needed to follow appropriate procedures and policies to try to resolve that, and asked that he would forward my request on to the mother to call me. And he did that. And she called me then the next day, but I never did hear anything. According to this, Julie would have been obligated to get a hold of me to just at least give me a heads up that she had had contact with that mother. The mother told me that you had been in contact with each other.
That's
and
because you insisted that it was me. When she
she
told
me
you that a trustee.
No,
had
no,
been
no. She
involved.
told me when I talked to her that she emailed you. That she emailed you.
Yes.
So she had contact with you. So you knew the complaint, you knew the concern. You had an obligation by board bylaw to at least give me a heads up. That's all you had to do, is to say, there's a mother that's concerned, there's a complaint. I need you to be aware of that. That's all you would have had to have done. And then we would have known about it. We could have started to check into it.
Kim, let me ask you something. I mean, while we're on this subject. If somebody contacts me and they already have a plan, already in the process of what they're going to do, that I have not been a part of. All of these contacts were made before the call to me or before the email to me. And I think that in trying to control every freedom of speech, I understand that you want to receive this first, but you're the one that came to the board and said, hey, I just want the treasurer and the board chair and the assistant chair to get the emails at trustees at BCC, whatever. I mean,
Madam
remember
Chair,
that?
can we stay on the point, please?
Board bylaw.
Excuse me, we're talking about things that have happened in the past directly related. So I never got anything. And then I got an email, and I think Shelby got an email from a nursing student. Don't smirk at me, please. It's just not professional.
Okay.
I just think that you've jumped to a lot of conclusions that you're wrong about.
Then our
anxious-
process can vet that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I
Anxious
would,
to who you
I would
report us
like Mary, Martha, Kim, and Dave to look into this. That's a 3-person committee. I would like them to follow our board bylaws and look at this and figure out what their obligation is and look into it so that we can have a more thorough discussion at the December meeting. That is
So what are
all.
we gonna
And now
do about, Forrest, let me ask you something. Don't you think we're transferring all the attention to what you perceive as what somebody has done against the board bylaws and not
Julie-
focusing as we should be, excuse me, I'm talking, not focusing as we should be on what the complaint was in nature and how to resolve that? Because as
I
she
think
said
we have-
tonight, as she said tonight publicly, it has not been resolved.
I
let me
think we
s-
have two, I think let me just, there's two, those, Julie, to answer your question, those are two entirely different and separate issues.
But the
And
focus right
I
now is
cannot-
on the trustee
Let,
who got an
let me
email from a
finish. Let me finish. The focus on the board is that issue. It is a whole different issue as to whether a teacher is, whether the curriculum that's being taught in a class is appropriate and whether it was taught appropriately. And that's a subject for executive session. If we're talking about how one of our employees is performing their job, that is an executive session discussion. It is not appropriate for right now. And we don't have to wait on one to handle the other.
I would also remind the trustees that there are procedures and policies in place for managing student complaints. And the board does not get directly involved in those issues until further into the process. They're supposed to go through a variety of different steps, and the board has to remain outside of that process, because if the student appeals finally, or the complaint ends up being appealed finally to the board level, that's when you guys get involved and make decisions regarding that complaint. It's in our student complaint process that clearly states the steps that have to be taken. And so the steps that are taken for those kinds of things happen at the lowest level possible. So it's the deans and the faculty that start to deal with that process. If the student isn't happy with the way that it's resolved, or whoever's involved, then it goes to the next level, and it can eventually come to the board.
What is
but
that next level?
I'm happy to send that information on to you. It goes to the vice president's level.
Because
The board is the final, the board is
She
the
did
final.
state tonight that she was not happy with the
Then,
conclusion.
well, you know what? Then that's a discussion that the deans need to have with the student.
With the student?
But they are the ones that have to work to resolve this. Or with the mother. If there's a FERPA agreement in place, then they can visit with the mother.
She did ask that she be involved in the conversation between the assistant dean that called the student and the student, but she was not granted that wish.
Really? Is that the case, John, that she wasn't granted the wish? It may not have been that she may not have had a FERPA, a FERPA release in place. She may not have been able to be involved in the conversation at that point in time if they had signed a FERPA release. And I don't know that, but the issue at hand is that it really should have been reported to me to start off with. So, by board bylaws, so that we could start to work on that resolution. It was unfortunate that I heard about it through Patrick Richardson at the Sentinel.
And that is not through any fault of my own. You may not believe that, but that's the truth.
No, the fault is that you didn't contact me to let me know that you had direct contact regarding this complaint. That's what the problem is.
Well, there's a communication problem on this board. I'll grant you that. But I haven't had a lot of communications from you about things I've asked you. So, but
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Your arm fall off yet?
I can hold my arms up all day long. I'm a drywall. No, you're good.
smelly things, so I didn't know.
I put deodorant on before I came. I had to. I would like to have a board discussion about what the mother brought up tonight. The 3 different classes, stuff she didn't appreciate being taught. The board is a policy setting board. We can set the curriculum. We can approve stuff that is taught. I think that's our position to talk about that executive session or not. I would like that in the future for us to discuss that.
Well, I think.
And that doesn't have anything to do with this vote, but
It's gonna be important though that, the process, we go through the process and then we understand why decisions were made the way they were, whatever.
right. No, I get that, but I want to have a separate policy discussion about what kids are being taught at dual level classes and if we as a board approve that. And if we don't, we can state what we would like done.
Cannot hear Linda.
I'm sorry, Mary.
Turn your mic on.
Oh, it was off. I'm sorry, Mary. Okay. So we're getting quite a list of things to do here. So at this point, I think Forrest has indicated he's going to set a committee. And then will you direct that committee as far as what your expectations are, Forrest?
Well, yes, I mean, I'm happy to provide guidance in terms of reference to the bylaws for what that committee's task is. I mean,
Okay.
it's not me directing an outcome. I'm simply directing that the process occur, and assuming that Mary Martha and Kim and Dave are willing, then that would be the committee.
Okay, I know Mary Martha, but could you put the last names on those committee members? So there'll be no question on record. That you've already
Okay,
appointed.
yeah, Mary Martha Good, Trustee Kim Brungart, and Trustee Dave Shear.
Don't you think it ought to be,
Not Dr. Kim Kroll.
don't you think it ought to be a more inclusive committee?
I am very happy with that committee, and no, I don't think it needs anybody else. I think 3 people out of a 7-person committee is plenty to address this. When all that committee's doing is going to be looking into it and then leading a discussion that the board's going to have at some point down the road. They're not making a decision. I think those 3 people will do a fantastic job.
Do you have time for this?
I'm on a flight tomorrow morning and I get back next Friday. So after that, I would have time. But it's gonna have to wait a couple weeks.
Okay, are we ready to move forward from that item?
I think so.
I'm ready to move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'd second it.
You got that done? How about number 12, supplemental information?
Wait a minute, we have to vote on it.
You're looking at me, I'm trying to get that. Okay,
So that was moved by Shear, seconded by Smith, correct? Okay, trustee Good. This is the consent
Yes.
agenda. Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
yes,
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
okay, number 12, supplemental information, key performance indicator update by the. Couldn't stay the whole time. Okay, thank you. Monthly statement of revenues and expenditures.
I can't hear whoever's speaking.
Why does that keep going?
Probably need a battery.
Batteries. from-
Oh,
Weren't
I
you gonna
must
have
need a
20
battery.
Numbers for us tonight?
Here. Oh, take a trade, Jen.
Okay, we're going to try another one. Okay, so next then, we had no thank you notes, I don't think. So the last thing is the board calendar. Oh, Shelby, sorry.
I had requested last month that we get the 20th day numbers, and Dr. Pearl
I've
said
got them.
Dr. Muhammad was going to go over them briefly.
No, he'll talk about it at the work session.
Okay.
So I'll just
Okay.
pass this out to you
Okay.
and you can take it home and look at it.
I'll
He's-
find some good
He'll be
questions for you,
prepared
Sarah.
to talk about it at the work session.
Okay.
And we'll need to get this to, well, I guess Forrest will be back. We'll need to get it to Mary Martha too. Okay. At the work session?
There's going to be a lot of commas and
I was gonna say,
semicolons.
a couple of breaths.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
The only thing on the board calendar, again, remember the legislative luncheon on the 29th. That's not on the calendar, but don't forget that. Don't forget the foundation gathering on the 5th of December. Board work session is that first Monday that we come back after Thanksgiving in November. So it's the 28th. So don't forget about that after.
What time is
after
the Christmas
vacation.
thing? 5:30?
The work session?
No, the Christmas thing.
Oh, I think it starts at 5:30. And it's, like I said, come and go, Kim.
Okay.
So,
Is that the,
They
is that
do
the
have
one on the
alcohol.
29th or the 28th?
Sweet.
no, she was
Is that on
asking
the
about the
priority list?
foundation holiday party. is
On
come
the
and go
5th.
On the 5th. The legislative luncheon starts at 11:30. It's from 11:30 to 1. Okay, I think that's all. I don't know that there's anything else on the calendar.
okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn
Mr. Chair, I move that we be adjourned.
in a second?
I'll second it.
And a vote, please. Oh, well, I guess you have.
All right, trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yep.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're done. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all.
Thanks, Forrest.
Thank
and
you,
Mary Martha.
Forrest. Thanks, Mary Martha.